Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast Radio Show, coming to you on this Friday, July 11th, 2025. Hopefully it finds you staying safe and staying sweaty all at the same time. On today's episode, we have the Secretary of State in Arizona, Adrian Fontes. But before we harass him, real quick, two quick housekeeping things. One, the Jeremy Scott Fitness app, we just wrapped up the Summer Metcon Challenge for you guys. We got to pick a winner for that. Probably popping out this week. We'll leave it live for probably the next 60 days. If you guys want to roll up in there, it's free inside the app. We just dropped the old school 34 Day to Fit challenge with a couple of my old fitness homies. That is live in there for you guys as well. What else we got on the docket? We're doing a 50 days of fitness probably towards the end of the year here, but all my weekly stuff will pop in between. You guys know the drill. You can always pick up a week for free on us, but all the challenges are in there and they're live and they're rocking. So JeremyScottFitness.app, you guys can pick it up here anytime. And then real quick, shout out to my homies at AG1. You guys already know the one thing I take every single day and I never miss. If you guys struggle to eat enough fruits and vegetables, and let's be real, all of us do, even myself, this will be the one thing I throw into your life each and every day. If you want a free sample on us, no questions asked, reach out to us, DM, email, wherever you can. I'll have Monica hook you guys up with the free sample packs. Give it a shot, and if you dig it, we'll hook you guys up with a full kit. And I think we're doing 10 free travel packs right now with order one. So this is all the new version. The next gen is out already. So now the travel packs come just like your electrolyte drinks. And I do think the flavor's a little bit better. And I do have some news on that probably in the next week or two here. So hit me up if you guys want the free samples. Otherwise, drinkag1.com/Jeremy Scott hooks you guys up with all the free stuff today. That's all I'm doing. That's it, bro. Welcome.
I like that AG1 stuff.
It's they're the big sponsor of the pod for sure.
Awesome.
It's been like 7 years, so it's been a long time. Been with them for many years.
Yeah.
It's easy. That much I know. So what's up, dude?
Just kind of chilling out, hanging out.
Yeah.
It's trying to stay cool.
This is the worst, dude.
It's this is when it comes down, but it doesn't come down as fast as it popped up.
No, this is where
So we're going to be here till October.
You get some nice weeks and days, but
Oh, sure. That's the tease.
yeah, this sucks. I don't mind it till about now, where it's like I walk my dog at 4:30 in the morning because it's just, and I sweat through 3 pairs of clothes. It's just less than ideal.
Swimming pool's like soup.
It's bad, man.
It just flipped. I think it was 2 days ago. We were okay. It was at about 89, which is a little warm.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just popped up to 92, 93 degrees, and that's it. Forget about it.
It's still better than not having a pool.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Because you can at least go out there and like survive. Like you can sit in the pool, drink a beer, do whatever, and you can like be there. Because people are like, oh, it sucks. I go, yeah, it does. I go, but just go sit in your backyard and just sit in the grass. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me how long you make it. You don't. So
if you have grass still.
I know it's about dead. It's getting pretty close.
Yeah, it'll go down real fast.
So yeah, this is not but also I grew up in Minnesota. So if I had a choice, like I'll take this over the
What are summers like there? I hear they're just muggy and buggy.
You know, they're not, well, my wife's from Washington State, so it's not as humid there. Yeah. Their summers are better. But in the Midwest, it's still light till 9:30 at night. The mornings are cool. The nights are cool. You get some good days, but to be honest, like I've been to, probably 30 weddings, and the worst one I've ever been to was in Minnesota, summertime. Like I sweated through full suit pants, full underwear, everything outside. The guy in front of me's shirt just turns dark blue, like as we sat there. And I'm like, I've been to weddings here, in June, not nearly as bad. So that kind of gives you the framework. So it's good when it's good, but
when I was a kid, our folks took us on a drive across the entire country. They wanted us to see how big the United States was. We ended up staying at a friend's house in off of Sandy Hook, Leonardo, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
It was August. It was the worst. Like you'd take a shower, and the minute you stepped out of the shower, you used your towel to dry off.
It's wet.
And you're already wet. There's no dry. It just didn't exist.
No, it's better here. If I had to pick, my sister lives in Jacksonville. Same thing. It's just like, it's wet.
Funny thing, though, back then, they didn't have mesquite-flavored everything all over the place in the stores. So as we were driving, before we took off, my dad put a bunch of, because I grew up down in Nogales on the border, my dad put a bunch of like small mesquite logs in the trunk of the 1979 Monte Carlo that we used to drive across the country in.
Yeah.
And when we got there, the guy we were visiting, Scott Dracula, she's, resting right now. He took them out as gingerly as you could see a guy treat a piece of wood, gathered up all of the little bits of bark that had fallen off and put them in paper bags. And later that week, I realized why, because he took one of the logs and he just chipped a bunch off and he put it on the grill. He put it on the coals where they were grilling some fish.
Oh, yeah.
To get that mesquite flavor into the fish. Well, I grew up in Nogales. There's nothing but mesquite trees out there. We used to heat our house with mesquite wood. So to me, the notion of mesquite was that's what you burn to heat your house. For him, it was such a valuable commodity that he was chipping little bits off just to get a little of that flavor into the fish.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I mean, it's just this late 70s, early 80s. It was a different world.
Yeah, before you could get everything.
Before you could get everything everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just on-demand stuff. We literally imported mesquite, transported
across
it
the country.
Across the whole country.
Like Monica, who works for me, who just left, she grew up in Nogales too.
Did she?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, what was her? I'm trying to think. Like, I say her real last name. Like before she was. I've only known her as married.
Her maiden name. I don't know why they still call it a maiden name.
I know. Wakoba, maybe something like that. Like it's a straight. She told me one time, and I'm like, no, that's not your name, because I've only known her as that version. But yeah, she grew up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like 45-ish, give or take.
She'd know some of my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only one high school in Nogales.
Yeah, which is wild.
And I had a series of. Like, my sister's a couple years older than me, and then about 4 years later, we had one every year for first cousins of mine, right, in that family for several years. And so there's a whole crew of people who are from Nogales. You see a lot of them here in the Valley, different parts of the country, but if you were from Nogales in that period of time, you knew one of my cousins.
Because how big was it then?
Oh, I graduated in 88. There were 256 in my graduating class.
Okay.
And Nogales proper, the town's probably only got 25, 30,000 people in it. A small town.
To this day.
To this day. Interesting, small but mighty. The port of Nogales does about $30 billion a year worth of business back and forth over that one border. So, like, I'm a big fan, obviously, of my hometown, but I think there's a really well-kept secret down there. I've got a buddy who graduated a couple years before me in my sister's class. Every pickle on every Big Mac in North America originates from cucumbers grown on one farm in Sinaloa, and they all go through the same importer in Nogales, Arizona.
No shit.
And that guy's a buddy of mine. So if you go to McDonald's and you eat a Big Mac, it's got pickles, you eat anything that's got pickles on it, all of those pickles come from cucumbers from the one farm, go through one importer in Nogales, Arizona.
I did know the produce thing. I got a dude here. What is it? Rigetti Farms. I think his spot. He does some stuff through Nogales too, and they do a lot of the grocery stores and stuff. Like you would never know.
Oh yeah.
Like I didn't know shit about it.
Shrimp, strawberries, all kinds of stuff come through that port. In fact, they're right now they're worried that that there's not enough electricity down there to handle all of the cold storage warehouses that are being built. Because in addition to all of that, the South 32 mine, which is the largest deposit of manganese in the Western Hemisphere, is opening up, 15 miles up the road from Nogales proper. That's going to suck up a whole bunch of electricity. So we're trying to figure out ways to get enough electricity to run this gigantic port of entry that continues to expand and expand and expand, including the outlet for the port of Long Beach, which is the deep water port that they're building in Guaymas, south of the border. I know you know where Guaymas is, which is right on the railroad tracks heading north. So it's a huge. I mean, the economic opportunities down there along the border in and out of Sonora are massive, and most people just they don't understand it. They don't see it.
Because there's a Nogales, Mexico.
Yeah, it's called to native. We call it ambos Nogales, which means both Nogales. So imagine a human body. The head portional part is Nogales, Arizona, and the rest of it is Nogales, Sonora. It's huge. There's probably 500,600,000 people down there on the Mexican side of the border.
And like back in the day, you could just like go back and forth like the Wild West, huh?
So funny story. My grandfather's home that he built with his own hands, his property line was the international border, and it was kind of on a hill, and there was a hole in the fence at the top of the hill and a hole at the fence at the bottom of the hill. And we used to walk up the Rocky side, which was like the U.S. side. We'd walk up the fence with like big cardboard boards from like refrigerator boxes and shit like that.
Like sledding?
And we'd walk across the ridge on the Mexican side, and we would slide down in the dirt to the hole at the bottom. So we'd cross over into the U.S. at the hole at the bottom, walk back up, walk around in the Mexican side, slide back down to the hole, cross into the U.S. side. It was like that was it.
Nobody cared.
No, we weren't hurting anybody.
No.
We were just sledding on dirt. We didn't have snow.
That's crazy, man.
It was a very different place. You know, we looked at it, when you're born and raised on the border, you see it as an opportunity. You know, my Uncle Jimmy got married at the Sacred Heart Church in Nogales, Arizona, and his reception was at the Club de Leones in Nogales, Sonora. It was just, that's how you did it. You know, we would sometimes, depending on where the peso and the dollar were, we would shop for groceries or gas on one side of the border or the other, wherever you could get the best deal. So folks that grew up in Nogales, it was a very cosmopolitan place too. Like when I was a kid, I'd go to a friend's house and like grandma's speaking like Lebanese over here or Korean over at this house, or they're speaking, you know, Italian over at that house with the food and the culture and all that stuff. And everybody was there because the port of entry attracts people from all over the world. All these import, export, big international businesses, they've all got their people on the ground there, or they did. And I think that in a real way, they still do. So there's all kinds of folks that are from Nogales.
And it's crazy because you could just kind of, well, again, all these lines are made up anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like we just draw imaginary lines. It's like when you pay tuition in-state, out-of-state, it's 10 grand here, it's 20 grand here, which makes no sense. But that's how, when you grew up, like you could just walk to Mexico, walk into America, and nobody gave a shit. It's just kind of...
Yeah, I would ride my bike. We lived on a little ranch north of town. After I turned 9, we moved out of the city proper onto this little ranch. I would ride my bike down, and it wasn't that far. It was like 4 or 5 miles to get to the border.
Yeah.
I would cross over. I'd have $5 or $10 in my pocket. I'd get my hair cut. I'd buy some candies, and the statute of limitations on this has passed. I would buy some firecrackers and stuff them into my gym socks and cross back over the border.
Yeah.
And then ride my bike home. And it was nothing, you know. I'd have my saladitos and my other whatever candies I got, and I'd go, you know, blow up some anthills out on the ranch with some little black cat fireworks.
Yeah.
Firecrackers.
Back when kids used to ride bikes and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, for me, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. No, but it's like, again, it's different too because it's not a huge city like where Scottsdale. It's like you typically don't hop on your bike and just go cruising. A lot of the kids don't do it the same here.
No, they don't. I think the communities are real different, but they do in a lot of other communities. I mean, there's a lot of towns in Arizona, you know, that still have that small town feel. Folks still know each other. They still help each other. They don't give a crap about this or that. They just, you know, they live together. They pray together. They shop together, and their kids are running around at the park or doing whatever. In bigger cities, though, and you're right, like Scottsdale, Tempe, Phoenix, a lot of these places, that's just not the case. But those are the choices we make. Yeah. You know, when you live in this kind of an environment,
the trade-offs. You're
asking for super hot summers, but you know, when it comes time for Super Bowls and big golf tournaments, you got great weather. And that's kind of cool.
I know.
Yeah.
So how do you get from Nogales, and then what? We go through school. Eventually, you become, well, you do the military, the attorney thing, all that stuff. How do we get from one to the other?
It's a long and winding road, I think, as the Beatles said. So I left Nogales when I graduated from high school that very summer. Like 2 days, or maybe the day after I graduated, I was on a trip to Mazatlan to go, you know, those senior trips that they used to do back in the days. And I may have done 1 or 2 trips, and then I started summer school right after that up here in Tempe.
You just wanted to get out? You're like, hey, I've had enough?
Pretty much, yeah. I had my dorm reservation at Palo Verde West when I was a sophomore in high school. Like, I was ready to go.
Oh, you're ready, yeah.
I was ready to go. I knew exactly which room I wanted. I had my suite mate picked out, buddy of mine from high school. And we didn't stay. It was funny because I was like, I want you to be in that room so that I can have my roommate and our suite mates, and then you can have your roommate and your suite mates, and we can meet a whole bunch of new people and get some, you know, have some fun. I was about get out, you know, have a good time. So I go to ASU, and I was on a full ride academic scholarship. and I very successfully, Sun Devil fashion, drank my way out of that.
No shit.
Oh yeah, it was tough. It was really tough, and so I had to leave because my folks had been going through a bunch of stuff, and they couldn't support me, and so I went to Cornville, Arizona, and I was a counselor at the Oak Creek Ranch School, which was owned
What's
by
Cornville? Sedona?
Cornville is right outside of Cottonwood.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a big golf course out there
Yeah.
and all this stuff, and West Sedona was the P.O. box. So
Yeah.
it's on the Oak Creek Ranch School down there. Beautiful setting. So I was there for an academic year, and towards the end of the spring and the end of the school year, the school was like, we can't keep you for the summer. So I had to figure out something to do. And the whole time in the back of my head, I was like, I got to get back to school. I got to get back to school. I got to finish my degree. And I ended up on the other side of Mingus Mountain in Prescott, and I got recruited by the Marine Corps. And I'd actually walked in to talk to the Army recruiters because their education programs were among the best, the Army and the Air Force. And the Marine recruiter was standing out in front of the office. The Army was out to lunch, literally. The Navy was out to lunch. The Air Force was out to lunch. And so
He's
standing there, and he goes, so, Master Gunnery Sergeant Rodriguez, I'll never forget. He looks at me and he goes, so you here to join the Army? I said, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And he says, well, let me tell you something. He says, you can join the Army, you can join the Navy, but you'll never be a Marine. And I was like, where do I sign up? It was just that simple.
Yeah.
And so I enlisted, had a great time in the Marine Corps. I was a marksmanship instructor, classified materials controller.
How old are you at the time?
22.
So like the training and stuff, you're like, you're prime. You're like, I'm ready to rock.
Well, what was interesting? I was in a fraternity at Arizona State, and we had the notorious Hell Week, went through all that hazing and stuff like that. Back in those days, it was a lot different than it is now. I don't even know if they do that stuff now. It's certainly not legal.
No.
But a couple of the guys in my fraternity were in the Marine Corps. They were Marine Corps reservists, so they had gone through that sort of stuff.
Took the skills. And
So they, through that week-long, this is what's going to be, in that space, I went through that stuff. When I went into the Marine Corps, I was like, okay, boot camp started, and the minute that, my drill instructor grabbed the box, whatever, that big foot locker, and threw it across the squad bay, and it busted down the whole thing and splintered all over the place because they always get an old, crappy one.
Yeah.
To do that with, I was like, all right. And I kind of, to myself, I smiled a little bit, and I'm like, all right, let the challenge start. And it was rough. It was rough, but we went from 84 enlistees in my platoon, and we graduated 36. So that's the attrition rate that we had.
Big
at that
dump,
time.
yeah.
And then, so I did 4 years in the Marine Corps. I got selected for a meritorious commission. I got to travel a bit. But when I was in Quantico, towards the end of my enlistment, I broke both of my feet. Stress fractures.
How you do that? Just over time?
Well, it was really cold, and I had been stationed in Yuma. So I joined the Marine Corps to see the world, and they put me in Yuma. So I was like, thanks, Uncle Sam. That was awesome.
Great.
And so at Quantico, it was the winter of 95, 96. It was in February. So it was like the coldest winter they'd seen there for, God, forever. There was 4 inches of ice on the Potomac River, and I just wasn't able to get my footing, literally, when we were walking, marching, hiking through wherever. And so I got stress fractures on my feet because I just couldn't handle the terrain, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they sent me back to my unit. So here I am, a super salty corporal. I had been selected for a meritorious commission. I get to Quantico, now I'm broke dick and I can't do anything. And so I go back to my unit and I'm like, I'm going to kill somebody if I have to stay here. And they sent me to 29 Palms, California for a month and a half till my enlistment was over to be the corporal of the guard during a combined arms exercise at night. So the guy, the warrant officer that was there, he knew my gunnery sergeant, and he's like, we're going to put you over here. You don't have to do a lot of walking around or anything like that. We'll try to get you healed up. He's like, just make sure the knuckleheads down there with the ground pounders, the infantry guys.
Yeah.
He says, make sure with your guard, because I was the corporal of the guard. We were guarding the mess hall at 29 Palms way out in the sticks. So, or the stumps is what they call it in the Marine Corps. So I was basically the guy who would walk around really quietly and make sure that the guys weren't sleeping on the job. And all the units, the helicopter units, the artillery guys, they would send their shitbirds up to guard because it was just the worst duty. And I was making these guys fill in empty sandbags and go through the recycling semi-trailers that were full of garbage and stuff. Like it was my mean moment. Like I got to be a class A asshole because that was my job. Anyway, so I leave the Marine Corps. I come back to ASU, get into the Honors College. I graduated summa cum laude and went to law school at the University of Denver. And then I practiced, prosecuted at the Adams County DA's office. And then I had a short time at the Denver DA's office as well, working for Bill Ritter, who ended up becoming the governor there. And then I came down to work for Rick Romley at the county attorney's office. And did a little bit of trial work, a little bit of sort of like the entry-level stuff, although I had plenty of trial experience in Denver. And got crossways with the administration there. And so I ended up running the international prosecution unit at the Attorney General's office when Terry Goddard was the Attorney General.
So, like, the law school part, like, was that always in the plan, or you're just somewhere along the way, you're like, you know what, I want to, because that just seems like it's not an easy thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to be a lawyer.
No, it's not easy, but I will tell you, the best thing to do if you think something is really, really hard is look at the people who've done it. Look carefully at them, because it reveals a lot about the kind of person that can achieve that goal. So
I tell my wife that when she was worried about having a kid. I'm like, dude, I go, look at all these chicks you know. They're soft as hell, bro. Like, you'll be fine.
So
same thing.
Same principle. So the way that manifested, when I came out of the Marine Corps and went back to school, my wife at the time had gotten back to her job with the Maricopa County Bar Association. And they had a young lawyers division and a domestic violence committee. And the domestic violence committee did a lot of, they would bring sort of supplies to domestic violence shelters. And they commandeered my truck all the time. I had a pickup truck. And so we'd go get diapers, damaged packages from the grocery store, big warehouses. Yeah. So if there were like feminine hygiene products or other stuff that the DV shelters needed, we would go pick it up, get rid of the damaged stuff. But there was always like perfect product in perfect condition. So we would take it and distribute it. And I realized looking around the table at these folks, and I don't know if some of them are listening, I'll apologize ahead of time. I'm like, these guys all passed the bar exam. These guys all made it through law school. They all took the LSAT before that and got into law school. I'm like, why can't I do it? Because I'm looking around at the intellectual heft around the table. It wasn't
crazy. Yeah.
It wasn't super heavy. Now, and again, that's not insulting to these folks. They all had a lot of different things to offer. But I hadn't been exposed to a lot of lawyers in my day. I hadn't been exposed to a lot of people that were in the practice. And so I didn't have that frame of reference. But once I was exposed to them, once I did realize that, I was like, well, there's no reason why I can't do this. And literally that was when I made the decision to end up going to law school. Because I had always wanted to be a professional. When I was a kid, I imagined myself as a success. And I didn't have a particular thing, but I was always imagined that a successful guy would be sitting at a desk with a big leather chair, wearing a white shirt and a tie, and somebody would bring them a piece of paper, and the fact that you put your signature on that paper meant something. It either put something into action or stopped, like it had meaning.
Yeah. That
was my definition of success when I was a kid. That's what I imagined it to be. And so at that time, I was like, well, a lawyer, that's what lawyers do. And so I got there. And it was, fits and starts. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, as you mentioned. But, you just got to get past those roadblocks that you got in your own head. Because law school is not hard. The amount of work is huge, right? It's not that hard to study. It's not that hard to read and try to comprehend things. It's the amount of it that they shove at you and the constant rate of work. That's the difficult thing. That's what culls out the people who don't make it through.
And the people who go through but then struggle to pass the bar itself, where it's like they're just not great at.
Well, it's each level of filtering people out, right? So not everybody can get an LSAT score that'll get you into law school. That's the LSAT that gets you in. You've got to take that test. Not everybody makes it through law school proper. I mean, we started at the University of Denver is a big law school. We started with 1,500 people, and the old saying is, look to your right, look to your left. One of you is not going to graduate. So that attrition rate's pretty high as well. And then the bar exam. And Yeah, so it's each step is a filter. Each step, you're kind of separating the wheat from the chaff at that point, and then, but once you make it, you made it, right? You're like, you've got that way of looking at the world that's different.
And so you do that, and you're like, why do you go that route? Like, hey, I want to go kind of like the prosecution route, not because there's 80 million routes you can go.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't get into law school in order to get into criminal law. In fact, I fought against taking the criminal law class, which is a mandatory class. I was like, I'm in law school. Like, I don't want to take this class. And they're like, it's mandatory. You have to take the class.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to practice criminal law. There's no reason for me to have. And they like pounded me. I went back and forth with the dean, as a matter of fact. And they're like, it's mandatory because it's part of the bar exam, and we need you to pass the bar exam, so you got to take the class. I'm like, again, I'm not practicing in this area. They're like, we don't care. Okay, so I took the class. I got a C in crim law. I wanted to do international water law. I wanted to be the guy who, at this stage of my life, was going to be working for some major law firm out there in the world saying, hey, where's the water going to be coming from back and forth, for example, over the border? How are we going to negotiate among the 7 Colorado Basin states? How are we going to do it? Those sorts of big issues are the stuff that I eventually wanted to be at.
Yeah.
But I caught the criminal law bug with an internship at the gang unit at the Denver DA's office. And I think it was my 3rd day on the job. First day I was there, they're like, okay, we're processing and just meeting people and stuff. You don't do anything. Second day, I sit with my supervisor. They're like, we want you to build this 404B gang evidence book, and we want you to get all the case law and that stuff so that our lawyers can use it, which it's a little technical stuff, but whatever. Third day, I show up, and they're like, hey, we're going to shift. We need you to go to courtroom so-and-so across the street. You're going to help them pick a jury in a drive-by shooting case. Day 3, after my first year, I wasn't even done with my second year yet. This was my first year. I was taking evidence at the time.
And how old are you?
Oh, by this time I'm in my, I don't know, 30.
Yeah, so young. Yeah, young dude.
I mean, youngish, right? It took me 10 years to finish with a Marine Corps and undergrad.
Yeah, but dude, you know
stuff.
how dumb you are when you're 30? I mean, for me anyway. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Like you're 30
no, I get it.
Let me pick a jury.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting because we're sitting there, and it's a drive-by. There's multiple defendants, and it's like a pretty big case. It's in the papers and stuff. And here I am sitting with the lawyers from the DA's office going through all these things, and then we take the break, and you see a trial happen, and you're like, okay, everybody take a break. Well, the lawyers never get a break. It doesn't matter. You're thinking about the case 24/7 from the moment you're going to trial until the moment the jury comes back, and then beyond that. It's like constant. And that's one of the reasons I like the law, and I loved trial. I loved going to trial. And it was, I caught that bug. My old supervisor, Tom Collins, African-American guy who grew up in 5 Points, which is the quote-unquote gang area, or was, in Denver during the summers of blood back in the 91, 92. So they were still suffering some of the repercussions of that. At the time, he was my supervisor, and he said, he told me when I first started, he's like, when the talker starts talking, it's not going to stop. And I had no idea what he was talking about. By the end of that summer, the talker had started talking. And it's this second voice that you have in your head that is constantly working through problems, constantly working through some of the things that you had to deal with because they're so complicated. You need that extra mechanism to move through you. And so since then, like this, the talker hasn't stopped talking. And I genuinely believe that's one of the reasons why people don't like lawyers, because lawyers are processing things in a different space from where non-lawyers are, because we see the world, we see the processes and the systems differently. I'm not saying it's better or it's worse.
Yeah.
It's just very different the way we perceive the world. And that talker is just going. So, I do that, and then that's what hooked me on the criminal. And I had fought against doing it for years. Or, well, not for years. I had fought against doing it my whole first year of law school. And once I did that internship, man, I was in.
And for how many years do you practice?
About 15.
Yeah.
About 15. Yeah, I prosecuted for a while, and then I shifted over to do criminal defense work, did some constitutional stuff, and I worked my way up through. You start in city court, when that's kind of your shtick. You're doing basic DUIs, small level assaults. Then I went into the county level court here in Arizona, Superior Court, which is district level in a lot of other states. And that's your felony level court. In general jurisdiction, you're doing all kinds of cases. And I did a lot of stuff there. Some firsts. The first criminal immigration state level case in the country, I had the lead defendant on that case. I was assigned it through the Office of Public Defense Services. I wasn't a public defender proper, but I had a contract with them like a lot of folks do. So Janet Napolitano signed into law back in the day the trafficking of illegal aliens, state level crime. And it was the first time that any state in the union had used immigration in state law. It's always been just a federal thing.
Yeah.
So we made it a state crime to transport illegal aliens because the federal jurisdiction and the state jurisdiction, they're different, separate sovereigns. So the first case was the test case, and there was a ton of lawyers on it. It was crazy. So I had done that case. And then eventually several other big cases, and I went into federal district court. And that was a lot of fun. That's as high as you can get when it comes to trying cases, is doing criminal stuff in front of federal judges. That's fun.
And do you miss some of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The intellectual rigor that you have to endure, you've got to know everything in and out, up one side and down the other. And it's not because it's complicated, and that is the top of the profession. I don't know very many attorneys, and there may be little nooks and crannies, but when you're doing criminal law in front of a federal district court judge, they are more demanding in those areas than in just about any other area because they take that work very, very seriously. They take the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment and the 14th Amendment very, very seriously. And their clerks take those cases very, very seriously. So having practiced in front of those folks really led me to a much better professional space because I knew that I could be successful at the top of the profession. I knew that I could do a really, really good quality job for my clients, win or lose the case, right? Because a lot of people go wins, losses in trial. You don't have control over that. You don't have control over what the jury does. And if you're judging that way, it's just sales pitch. It's not real. So I really enjoyed it because of the challenge, because you just had to focus on this one thing and everything else had to go away. Everything else had to go away.
It's like the NBA. You're the very top of what's going on. And the guy across from you is the top, and his team is the top.
That's
and
exactly
the whole shit.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that, and it's really hard to be good at it.
Yeah. Stressful or no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but anything is stressful if you don't have the right attitude. And if you're not stressed about it, you're not taking it seriously enough. It's just a question of how you handle the stress, I guess. More than anything
we're like some dudes it swallows them up, and some people it's like they can compartmentalize it however.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the compartmentalization was a key skill in those areas because you got some, and like I wouldn't take. There's a bunch of cases that I wouldn't take, like at the federal level. There's a lot of that's where they do the big child porn cases, for example. I would never take any of those cases. Because as defense counsel, I would have to review all the evidence. Who the fuck wants to look at that stuff?
Oh, dude.
Pardon my French.
Yeah, fuck you. And that shit stays with you too.
And so I was like, no, thank you very much. I don't want those cases. Now, gun cases.
But people do take those.
Oh,
They have to.
They do.
That's
well, the Constitution guarantees a defense, right? Bad guys are accused until they're proven guilty.
For sure.
And that's one of the beautiful things about our system is that we respect the fact that the government has to prove it. We respect the fact that legally, now I can have an opinion about somebody, whether or not I represent them. I can think somebody committed a crime, but until they're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by either a jury or by admission, they're technically innocent or technically not guilty. Pick your way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So when it came to doing this work, it really is, I think, one of the most difficult but honorable things you can do. Difficult because the majority of society has a majority view, and that is bad guy gets indicted, bad guy's a bad guy. Okay, that might be a bad person. Whatever, think what you will. but the Constitution is still the Constitution. And the fact is, there's only one civilian role that's named in the Constitution. Only one who's not an elector, an officer, a congressman, a senator, a vice president. There's only one role, and that is counsel for the accused. And because it is so unique in our society and really kind of on the outs of society, it's that much more important that we have people who are competent, passionate, and dedicated to doing that work to preserve that balance between overreach from the government and lawlessness. And that's the key ingredient, in my view, for a solid, well-run society.
Yeah, because it's weird too. Because obviously, I don't really watch the news or watch anything, but I hear the important stuff. That it's going to find me either way. But when someone does something shitty, or you think they do, how the world portrays it, they're already basically guilty before they're guilty. Yeah. If I say like the Diddy shit, whatever he did or didn't do, I don't fucking know. I'm but it's you hear all this shit before.
Like Diddy or didn't he?
Yeah. But I'm it's all this stuff. It's oh, he's fucked. Before anything even happens, it's you heard 87 news stories. I'm well, are these true? Are they not true? Yeah. But you have this whole picture before any of it ever happens.
Well, the good thing is, so good and bad, the discussion, and this doesn't just go for in the criminal justice world. This goes for politics and everything we consume in the media, right? We have this sort of voracious appetite for a story to start and to end, right? We want to get through the narrative. We want to know how it ends. Yeah. We want to watch all of the episodes of all of the seasons of whatever show now.
Yeah, binge it.
Well, there's kind of a thing to process, right? If there's two words that describe the American system, it's due process. You have to follow the rules. We have rules that are set up. Rules for society, rules for the way government works, et cetera, et cetera. You got to go through the rules. Now, people can guess, people can speculate, but until you go through those rules, you don't have a real answer. And there are still plenty of professionals out there who believe in the process and believe in the rules and believe in we got to go through this, whether you like how long it's taking or not. That's what it is. And this is the way that we preserve fairness in our system. This is the way we preserve the rights of the little guy versus the system, the great system, the government that has endless resources, things of this nature. It's about the individual rights as represented through that one bad guy. Because you could be the bad guy tomorrow. I could be the bad guy tomorrow. And if nobody protected you and nobody protected me, then whoever else is next, they're fucked.
Yeah. Well, everybody's it won't be me. Everybody lives that way. Well, it never has. Yeah.
Till it is. And then when it is, and I've had some clients who, we got up to the day of trial on one guy. I remember very, very vividly. We got up to the day of trial. We were just about to pick the jury. And the government this was a state level case. They're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. They're he's got to take the deal. He's got to take the deal. And the guy's I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm not taking a deal. I'm not taking a deal. And okay. He gets to make the choice. I'm just the lawyer, right? But I told him, you guys don't have the evidence. There's no way that you can prove this. They dumped the case. Right before the jury literally, they were down in the jury pool waiting to come up, and they dismissed the case. He never got tried for the case. Now, he was indicted. They had sufficient evidence for probable cause in front of the grand jury. He was arrested. He was processed, all of that stuff. And we got to the point where they were about to select the jury, and they realized we called their bluff. The government isn't perfect. Government actors are not perfect. Cops aren't perfect. They do a hell of a job. A lot of them put their lives on the line, and you've got to respect, but they're not perfect. They're human beings. Prosecutors, same. Just about anybody in government. Me, I'm not perfect. I'm the Secretary of State. But that's why we have these checks and balances. That's why we have these systems. And it's complicated. It's supposed to be complicated.
Well, it's like playing sports. You have a good day and you have a bad day. There's off games, there's off things. I get that. And also in any profession, police, attorneys, whatever, there's the best ones, there's the middle ground ones, and someone has to be the worst.
Yeah.
There has to be the shitty ones. It's like a pilot. Like, you might have a good pilot today, or you might be the shittiest guy on Southwest. Like, you don't know. You just got on the plane. I'm like, so somebody has to be that. Like, it's just, that's the reality.
Southwest isn't a sponsor of this show.
No, they were not. I mean, if they want to, I'll take it. But it's not my first. I'm more like a Delta guy. I don't like the whole cattle herding. Like, pick your fucking seat, wait to get on. Like that.
I'm an American guy. We got the hub here.
I'm flying them next week. Delta's my favorite for sure, but American's legit too. I just don't like the you don't have a seat thing, and I don't. And I'm not.
Well, they changed that. Southwest has assigned seating now.
Did it start yet? It's getting close.
Did they start?
Either way, it's.
Yeah, I think they started.
It's not my. Also, like, I'm not fancy with anything. I'm the most like, except I do like flying first class now. That ruined me forever. Like, that's the one. Like, if I'm gonna spend money, dude, it's like. Yeah, it's a better experience.
It is a better experience.
Yeah.
I've been upgraded to first class several times because I travel a lot for work.
And
I go to a lot of conferences.
You're
and
not a
stuff,
small
so.
dude.
No, I'm not a small person.
You can't be sitting in a middle seat in the back, bro.
No.
That don't work.
No, I do row 27B or 28A on the flights that I usually take back and forth on that 737 to DC. Yeah, the emergency aisle. And then that 28A, which is the one right across from the jump seat.
Yeah, you do the
like
you do the window always.
Not always.
Yeah, I'm like
exit row. But then I fly so much that my status is up there. So occasionally I'll show up and they'll be like, "Oh, look, you got upgraded," and I'm like,
yeah, it's the best, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm picky with that shit for sure. It's my only bougie thing.
What did you think of the first time you got a hot towel?
Oh, I'm like, this is the best, dude.
Like, what did you do with it? What did you think to do with it? Or did you just look and see what everybody else was doing?
I'm basically like, do I hold this?
Like, you had no idea?
No, fuck no, dude.
Because most people have no idea. Like, here's a hot, wet towel.
Yeah.
And they give it to you with tongs, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this?
I had no idea. I didn't know anything, though. I didn't know, like, the other shit was free. Oh, you can have a drink. You can do whatever. I'm like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. The little cup of warm nuts.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't know none of this shit.
Yeah.
Now it's gotten even fancier, like, as it's gone. But I've done the ghetto flying for too long. I'm like, I did it for too long, dude. I suffered enough.
It can be rough on flights if it's more than 3.5, 4 hours, then I'm very seriously considering upgrading.
Yeah, we'll do. I could do Southwest to like Orange County from here to John Wayne because they have 20 flights a day.
Oh, that's a piece of cake.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
Burbank, Las Vegas.
Yeah, I got booked one time to the Arnold Classic, which is in Columbus, Ohio. And they booked me on, I don't know what it was. It was a middle, maybe like JetBlue or some shit, but it was a middle seat. That's like 4+ hours. Like
you can't fit those shoulders in the middle seat.
Yeah, I never got off the plane. I'm like, hey, bro. I'm never again. I'm like, I'll just quit. I'm like, there's no money. I'm not doing it, dude. It's just like, it sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's like hotels. Like, there's levels to that, too. Like, I can kind of stay wherever, but you stay in like a shit hotel or like a Ritz-Carlton. There is a difference.
Huge.
I don't have to be here, but I can't be here.
Yeah.
I got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
It's tough when you travel a lot. I think that's part and parcel of the business in my view. But when I travel for work, which I do mostly, we've got there's these rules. I can only spend so much on an airfare. I can only spend so much on a hotel. We've got this little per diem that we have to stay within.
Do you get the points though, at least on all the stuff?
Yeah.
See, that helps though.
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got like the best status you can get this year, and I just hit the one for next year, and we just started. So
that helps.
That's one of the bennies, but I think it's earned because I'm the lowest paid Secretary of State in the country. So
no shit.
Yeah.
Of any state.
Yeah, I think Puerto Rico makes more, and they're not a state. Neither is D.C.
Like Kentucky and shit?
More. Yep, Kentucky.
Really?
Shit, Nebraska, Kansas, those guys are making well over $250. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
Just because Arizona's cheap, man.
Is that for real?
We don't pay our elected officials very much. Yeah, if you want to get into politics, you don't plan on making a lot of money. Not while you're serving. Not without corruption. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm lucky my wife
you're not getting the stock. You're not getting the stock information. You're not on Unusual Whales or
not in this kind of office. Nobody talks to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. No, I don't get. I get my stock tips from TikTok.
Yeah, dude, the lowest paid? That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I wear it kind of as a badge of honor and kind of so people will feel bad for me and buy me drinks at the hotel bar sometimes.
Yeah, so you're like, hey, man, I'm doing the Lord's work.
Hey, yeah.
So, like, you go from, yeah, like, so I guess how does that whole thing connect? So you go from practicing law to, like, I want to be in politics, or was that
No,
ever?
I got pissed.
Really?
I got pissed off. That's why I ran for office. So I was doing the practice and doing the Lord's work, if you will, and took a trip to Greece with my mom, and we were there. As a kid, I was into the mythology and the gods.
Where'd you guys go in Greece? Athens.
Athens. That's it. I just wanted to go to Athens. I wanted to go to the museums. I wanted to see Parliament. I wanted to see spend some time on the Acropolis, up at the Parthenon.
I've been, yeah.
And just like really kind of absorbing the feel of a city that has seen everything. They've seen invasion, they've seen pestilence, they've seen economic downturns like no one else has suffered. And this is a town that's still doing its thing.
Yeah.
Thousands of years later, which I have a lot of respect for that, Plus the food's great. So I just wanted to absorb Athens, and there's a big sort of democracy thing, right? Western civilization, sort of the heartbeat of it. I get back to Phoenix, and the next day after we get back is the 2016 presidential preference election. Now, I don't know if you remember this, you might. When there were like 4 and 5 hour long lines, people couldn't vote. There was, some estimates say there was up to 130,000 people that just couldn't vote because the system broke down. There weren't enough polling places. It was just a disaster.
They just went home and said, fuck it.
Yeah, a lot of people. There was. I showed up actually because I was volunteering on one of the campaigns, just as a volunteer lawyer, and they were like, "There's a problem out at the polling place on I think around 41st Street in Thomas, at what was the old Methodist church right there.
Yeah.
It wasn't the polling place. One of the polling places. We show up. It's dusk. There's got to be 12.5 police cars outside of this place. The line is wrapped around the entire building and inside of the courtyard. And I'm just like, I show up there with this other attorney, and we go up to the cops, and we're like, what's going on? And they said, I'm like, why are you guys here? And they're like, well, there was an accident, so we just want to make sure everything's okay. I'm like, when? They're like, well, about an hour and a half ago. And I'm just like, hour and a half ago? Why are you still here? Because it looked like a third world country. Like the lights, the police lights were going off on all the buildings, and it looked creepy. And it felt creepy. Some guy, because the parking was overrun, there's so many people there, some guy had parked across Thomas, and walking back across to his car got hit and killed.
Whoa.
Guy got killed because the facilities to vote were not able to put him together. They weren't able to serve him. Think about that. Some guy in Phoenix, Arizona gets killed just because he wanted to vote.
That's crazy.
And that hit me really, really hard. And so the very next day, I went to the Maricopa County Democratic Party, and I said, I'm running for county recorder. I'm here to see. There was a meeting. I'm here to see if there's going to be a primary for this race. I'm going to run against the county recorder. And Helen Purcell, who I beat in 2016, had been in office since 1988.
Dope.
No Democrat had ever run against her, ever. Think about that. We're the same person in office from when I graduated in high school in 1988 till I was 46 years old.
Like, what is that? Like, the job just sucks, or what is the...
No, just the Democrats were too afraid to run somebody against her. They were worried that she would just win. And this is a person... So the county recorder does a lot of stuff, not just elections, but the key part is they're the registrar of voters, and the office has changed significantly since then. But from just the political perspective, Democrats just in Arizona never had the guts to stand up and throw a punch. And in the few cases where they did, I think they've kind of been successful. But my party's got real problems, and one of the real problems is we're afraid to take a stand. We're afraid to make people angry. We're afraid to show our true colors and really fight hard for the things that we believe in. And I think that's what has a lot of people turned off, is that we don't have that kind of vigor in our presentation. We don't have that kind of vigor in the way that we talk to voters. And I was pissed because the fact that she had never been challenged means that she felt like she could do whatever she wanted. And that was, I think, the political opposition's fault, which would have been the Democrats' fault. And then she got away with making all of this nonsense happen that resulted in this poor guy's death. Now, is she responsible for his death? No. Is the Arizona Democratic Party responsible for his death? No. But 130,000 people not being able to vote?
Yeah.
That, I was floored. And I had just come from the birthplace of democracy, right? The place where they decided we're going to have the power, not the king. We are. We're going to decide who's going to be in charge. And that, to me, is a principle that is so supremely Western, right? And what really is the foundation of the United States of America. It doesn't matter what party. The people are the ones with the power. It doesn't matter what your politics are. We get to decide together. And we're not always going to agree. So what? We get to decide. That was so important to me. So I ran, upended my whole life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how much do you know? Like, you know about all this shit before you
I
start?
didn't know a goddamn thing about it.
Because when you're like, people ask me, like, what does the Secretary of State do? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you do on a Wednesday? I have no fucking clue. Like, I don't know. Like, what does the mayor do on a Thursday? I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a guy on the outside, like, I would have no clue. It seems like I'm an attorney. That's a career thing.
Yeah.
Most people are just like, fuck it. It'd be like me tomorrow. I'm just going to cook. I'm going to be a chef.
So I think the best way to describe it is that there's the business of business. You're a businessman.
Yep.
People who own stores are business people. People who are, whatever, plastic surgeons, they got lawyers, they have their business. And then there's government, and they're very different. The fact that we have rules, and we don't have to like the rules, they are the rules. They have a variety of different reasons for rules. There's safety rules. There's how you pave the road rules. There's how much lead goes in the gasoline rules. Okay, fine, but there's a reason behind all those rules. That is the sort of the foundation for the house, okay? And as long as that is running well, everybody else gets to go do what they want to do. And they operate very differently. So what I do is I make sure that my part of the foundation, which is elections, the elections department for the state, the state library archives and public records for the state, which is the repository of all the information, and my business services division, I make sure that foundational function works well. Because you want to trademark Jeremy Scott. You come to my office, and I'm preserving your right to have that mark. I'm preserving your property value that you have when you file that with me. It's important to you that you have some uninterested third party who's just going to hang on to that. And when some fake Jeremy Scott out there wants to use you and use your mark, you can come down and say, hey, you got to stop. I have proof. And the Secretary of State's office is holding it. And I can pull up that document for you and preserve your rights. So those core functions that are sort of analogous to that, keeping the records, making sure everything's straight, making sure everybody's rights gets preserved, that's foundational to being able to have economic opportunity, to be able to have prosperity, to be able to move forward and maintain some financial interest in those things that you grow and create. So all of the business opportunity, all of the innovation that we see in Arizona, all of that cool stuff has this foundational space from which it can depend on those boring-ass systems called government. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge pro-government guy. There's plenty of reforms that can happen, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you buy your house, a transaction is important to you. The county recorder is going to hold on to that. So when somebody tries to commit some kind of fraud and sell it out from underneath you, you can come on and say, hey, we've got this record over at that boring-ass office. We don't know what they do, but they've got my records. We're preserving their rights. So in those sorts of spaces, we don't do business. We help business do business. We help individuals maintain or create, give them the space so that they can get out there and make the world happen. That, to me, is the value of this sort of like this ministerial, literally secretarial work that one does as the Secretary of State. And so it's information in, information out. And it's the same sort of with the election space. I want to make sure that your vote is counted properly. So we set up the rules, we certify the people, we make sure that everything in those systems works well because you're the one with the power. You get to decide if I stay in office or not. You and your fellow citizens get to decide if I stay in office or not. And that's important because of the rest of these functions.
And so, like, when you did the recorder thing, you did that because you're like, this is the next step, or that's kind of the natural progression?
No, I became the county recorder because I was pissed that people couldn't vote.
Yeah.
Right? So that was very much an emotional decision. I mean, look, I grew up in Nogales. I watched telenovelas at my grandmother's house all the time, so emotion is not a stranger to me.
Yeah.
I got mad, I ran, I won. I learned so quickly about how valuable these systems are to everybody else that I sort of embraced that role. And I lost my reelection bid in 2020. I was so focused on my work, I didn't do the politics. Politics is different. You got to do. It's just like anything else. You got to do the marketing and do the job. I didn't do the marketing, so I lost my reelection bid.
And that, like, that's a question too. Like, so when you guys do these roles, how much of it is that versus the job, right? Like, obviously you do both. You're the technician, you're the owner, you're the manager. You do all the shit. But that part, because like Coca-Cola advertises every day.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's advertises, and everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who we are unless we jam it down their throat.
Yeah.
So we spend so much time and so much money on just blasting our shit.
Same here.
24/7.
Same here.
So like you do the role, but you're like, oh, we have to have like essentially, because you have a whole team now at this point, because I've talked to them via email and text and all the stuff.
Yep.
But like, so there's people who are just like pumping out your stuff, like setting stuff up, doing stuff all the time.
Yeah. So there's the official side and there's the campaign side. So on the official side, I have a duty to inform the public. I got to make sure that they know when the elections are happening, what library services are available, how we can help their businesses get established and grow. You know, we've just got new regulations on notaries public, what it takes to register and become a notary public in Arizona. We made some adjustments there, so we're doing a lot of education there. So my public relations / outreach in those official areas is run by the official side of the house. And then because we have to keep that separate, I have a separate campaign consulting team that does the politics. Right now, because I'm not up for re-election until November of 26, so right now I'm in the fundraising phase. So you're not going to see me doing a lot of advertising from the campaign. You're not going to see political commercials or anything like that because nobody's paying attention, and I don't have the kind of money that's going to take a sustained campaign, right, for that long.
No.
So I'm just fundraising on that side of the house right now. Now I am doing some politics. There's like, for example, there's a Democratic Association of Secretaries of State, and we raise money for each other around the country. We have these coordinated campaigns that we block ourselves off from, and then they help us, but we help them raise money. So I'll go to Boston for a fundraiser and talk to a bunch of rich folks, and they'll put money into that thing. Or here, I'll have a small fundraiser. Like, for example, my campaign wants to host a fundraiser that's going to be a roast of me. So they're going to get a bunch of politicians to come and
just talk shit.
Just talk a lot of shit to me, which is fine. I've done it before, and it's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
But, you know, your colleagues and your peers are just talking shit about you, and we don't record it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But anyway, that's going to be a fundraiser for my campaign. So I've got to be able to support the politics, and I've got to keep it separate from the official side, which is a little bit different. Because for you, for example, the work that you do every day is in and of itself part of your marketing, right?
Yep.
We have to keep it to a degree very different. We can't coordinate the two. They're just like they have to operate separately.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's just a little different. It's a different way to operate. But in any event, that's, you know, the work of. So what do I do on a Wednesday? I'll tell you. Every other Wednesday, I'm in Maricopa County. I'm visiting with the clerk, the city clerk in Scottsdale, and then I'll go to the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce. I'll go to Scottsdale Library, and I'll hit those institutions that we do official business with to make sure that we're communicating well, that they understand the programs we're involved in, like America 250, the semi-quincentennial, 250 years of a Declaration of Independence next year. I chair the state commission. And then on the opposite Wednesday, I'll go to, so for example, this week I was up in Flagstaff. I went to the library up there. I talked to some folks at the university. We talked to some other folks, and I ended the afternoon. I went to the American Legion and had a couple of beers with some guys to talk about America 250. It was technically official work, but full disclosure, I had a couple of beers.
What kind of beer do you drink? Typically.
Well, when I'm in Flagstaff, it's Tower Station.
Okay. Yeah.
Mother Road does some good stuff.
Yeah. My wife loves that place.
when I'm here in town, it's Wren House. Their Spellbinder is really, really good. I don't know if you've had that.
No, I'm I'm from the Midwest. I basically just, the weakest beer and whiskey is my two. I'm like a blonde guy. Like a basic Pilsner. I don't do the IPA shit. The guys next door fix our bikes. I drop them off the IPAs. I'm like, I can't chew that shit.
Yeah.
I'm not in the game anymore. I've been out for too long.
Huss has got a really, really good IPA. I can't remember the name of it, but it's in a green can. So I kind of dabble around in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things we're doing with the America 250 Commission, by the way, is we're doing an app that's going to have a bunch of stuff like Hike 250. It's going to have 250 miles of recommended hiking trails in Arizona.
That's tight.
Read 250 is going to be like for kids, 250 minutes of reading, and you get a prize. Or my favorite, there's a Dine 250. We're going to suggest 250 different places to go grab a bite in Arizona to celebrate 250. And my favorite one is Cheers 250. So we're going to have 250 breweries, wineries, and distilleries around the state for people to go have a drink. And we're hoping to partner with one of the Ubers or Lyfts or one of those sorts of folks so people can get home safely after having a couple of drinks.
Oh, yeah. That's tight, though.
Yeah. So we're working on that stuff right now. Folks can actually make suggestions for a lot of these things at azsos.gov /America 250. Yeah. Because we want to make sure that we can celebrate the whole state.
Yeah. And where do you live here?
I live in downtown Phoenix. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're in the hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close
yeah.
enough.
No, I love downtown Phoenix.
You have a favorite restaurant here?
I have several favorite restaurants. Yeah.
Like your just favorite go-to, and then like maybe pizza place or nice place, hole in the wall.
Well, I'll tell you what. My favorite pizza place is actually a local chain. I like Barrow's.
No shit.
Yeah. It's just super
Never had it.
straightforward, sort of a chain pizza place, local.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. It's not thin crust, which is my favorite kind of pizza.
Yeah.
But it's a great standby and it's close to the house. So,
Yeah.
I love that. As far as restaurants go, I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to restaurants. Like I like to go to different places and try different things. So if I'm going out to a night, and most of it's concentrated in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah.
I don't get to Scottsdale too much. There's several places here I think that are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But like great French restaurant is Sotis. It's downtown. It's in this little house. Very, very good food. I like what's it called? It's in the basement in one of those buildings just off of Roosevelt. The Rough Riders.
Because now that whole like Roosevelt Row is all the
It's huge, man.
yeah, it's gone crazy.
Huge. Oh yeah, Lam Wang is great. It's a great Thai place on Roosevelt. They just won a big award. They're phenomenal. Like Tacos Huicho is phenomenal on 20th Street in Oak, just right at the 51. It's in an old laundromat space. It's just some of the best tacos in town. All kinds of great places all over the place. My favorite nightclub is here in Scottsdale. It's owned by some family friends. They're phenomenal. God, what is it called? They used to have a swimming pool in the middle of it, and then they covered that up.
In Old Town or up here?
In Old Town.
Oh, it used to be. It was like Spanish Fly or American Junkie.
It was.
It's that same little like area right over there.
Yeah, Boondocks.
Yeah.
Boondocks.
Yeah, that whole shit down there now is wild, bro.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's changed
insane.
a lot.
I went to.
Yeah, because that corner is like it used to be Marley's and shit. Now it's like Bottle Blonde, El Jefe, Maya's down there. It's like it's.
Yeah,
I'm an old man.
There's a bunch of stuff. Old man, you'd love cocktails at the Global Ambassador on 44th Street.
Oh, my wife loves that shit.
Yeah, it's super fun.
It's very fancy.
It's you know what? Go. Here's the fun thing. And I know we're on a podcast, and I usually have to be decent because I'm a politician. But it's you can tell who the working girls are when you're there in the afternoon on like a Thursday or Friday afternoon.
Oh yeah, it changes.
Yeah, because it's they all wear the same color clothes.
It's a different. Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
When I go there, I go there occasionally. My wife likes hanging out there. She's like, there's a couple of the drinks there that she really likes. They have. She has actually pointed it out to me. She's like, that one. They're all wearing black. And then another time it's like that one. They're all wearing these teal dresses. Have you ever been there? You got to get to the Global.
It's a good spot. It's
a good people watching spot.
Yeah, it's not my scene. It's very fancy for me. But you can go up there and dress like and wear this because nobody gives a shit.
Great food, Dirty Drummer. Also on 44th Street by the Costco.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Grilled chicken wings.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. They've got great sauces, good beer. The place is like, it's super, like you walk in and you feel like you're walking into an old honky-tonk circa 1979, because it is.
Yeah.
Everything's wood, so it feels really funky, but like the food is amazing. The place is nice and clean. And it's just the most relaxed, fun atmosphere. And they literally will have like a band every night. In fact, the other day I was in my happy place. I was watching the Mexico-Saudi Arabia soccer match, sitting at the bar, right where they were expediting out the food, and the guys were grilling the chicken, like literally right in front of us. I'm sitting with my wife. We're having a Modelo Negro. And then all of a sudden, the band behind us on the other side of the bar starts playing honky-tonk music. And I felt transported back to the days when I was a kid. And my folks would drive 30 or 40 miles with us in the back of the car so they could go like honky-tonk dancing.
Oh, yeah.
And they would, back in those days, you'd sit the kids in the booth there in the bar.
And it was
like
cool.
We'd fall asleep at the table and just kind of sleep there for a while. They would dance and drink and have a good time, and then they'd grab us and head home.
It's crazy. There's so many places here. Like, everybody we bring in says something like shit that I haven't heard of. And I'm like, I live 2 minutes from that, which is wild, though. A lot of good spots, though.
You don't live downtown. You live here, don't you?
Yeah, like in Old Town.
Okay.
Yeah, like right by Hotel Valley Ho, Arcadia area, all that. So all the stuff down there is our hood.
Yeah, there's some good restaurants around there. Yeah, Pinot's great. Yeah, the bolognese at Pinot is absolutely delicious. Yeah, no, that's a good call. There's another place that brewery on Indian School near you. Osho.
Yeah.
Love that place.
We're at our bikes on the canal. And you can bring your dog, too. Super chill.
Yeah, Osho's great.
Yeah, those are all, like, in my hood there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of our faves. So, yeah, what was I going to ask you? Probably something most important. The job itself that you guys do. Is it what you thought it was? Like, hey, I'm the Secretary of State. I think it's going to be this, but it's actually this.
The good thing about this job is, yes, it is what I thought it was, because in the prior job as county recorder,
Similar?
I worked directly with the Secretary of State's office.
Okay.
So the Secretary of State, imagine a professional sports league. The Secretary of State is the commissioner. We're the ones who set the rules. We certify the officials. We make sure that the playing field is as fair as possible across the board. And the counties are the teams. They're the ones that put their people on the field. They make the calls within the rules. They play the game. So we're kind of just making sure that they're doing their job. It's another one of those checks and balances sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And so when I was at the county, Maricopa County is the second largest voting jurisdiction in the United States of America. It's a massive, massive job. During election periods, we'll go from a permanent staff of just under 150,000 to somewhere close to 10,000 employees to support the entire operation. So just the HR paperwork for that kind of endeavor within a couple of weeks is insane. So managing all of these things with that permanent staff is kind of one of the challenges. But at the Secretary's office, we don't have to do that stuff. We do, however, have to pull in all the information, make sure our IT systems are solid, make sure everybody's getting the right information, communicating well, and deploying whatever other kinds of resources that we have for the election side of things. And that takes a bit of work. We handle a large chunk of the litigation because everybody's always suing the state of Arizona for something related to elections. Most of it's total bullshit, but it is what it is. And so we coordinate all that. So we work closely with the Attorney General's office to do that legal stuff.
Was it like people and shit? Companies? What? I don't...
No, mostly politically interested parties. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
I'll be kind because we have a lot of open cases going on.
Yeah.
But I will say it's mostly bullshit, and because that's real, and it costs the taxpayers a ton of money.
Isn't like when you think about this is just like in life in general, like all the time and money we waste on shit, right? Like we're on a rock, like flying through fucking space. Mm-hmm. And then we're just like, we're going to just do all this lawsuit shit all day, every day, nonstop.
Well, it's if you're a litigator or if you're one of these special interest groups that makes money because you're fighting a fight,
Yeah.
You can use a lawsuit to fund the next year or two of your operation. We're gonna file a suit against the Secretary of State in the state of Arizona because they're being mean to us or they did something wrong. And then you go out to your mailing list or your email list or whatever. You raise a couple $100,000. You pitch $50,000 to some lawyers. They file a lawsuit. You go do some more fundraising.
It's a business.
It's a racket.
Yeah.
It's a total friggin' racket.
That's crazy.
And it's profitable for some people. But then the taxpayers have to answer the friggin' lawsuits. And I get it. These folks, some of the lawsuits have merit. Some of the lawsuits make a lot of sense. In last fall, when we discovered that there was this problem with a lot of the voter registration stuff, and it was nobody's real fault. It should have been caught previously. Whatever. That's a whole different set of deals. Me and the then county recorder, Stephen Richer, we decided that he was going to sue me, and we were going to take it directly to the state Supreme Court, not because he was mad, not because something was wrong, but because we needed a rule. We needed a rule of law, and we needed it immediately. And so he and I had this conversation, and I'm like, you need to sue me. Here's what we should do. And he's like, I agree. And I said, this is what my answer is going to be, and we're going to ask the court to come up with this rule so that we can make sure that all these people are eligible to vote. And he's like, let's do it. So we filed it. Supreme Court did what we asked them to do, thankfully. They saw it our way. We felt like we had the right everything, and we came forward. So that lawsuit was great. It was two people who had legally different opinions about something, but we worked it through before we even filed it, and then we worked it out. That's very rare. Most of the time, it's somebody who's just, especially as it pertains to us, gaming the system, trying to make money off of their supporters, lying to people. I mean, there's been some folks who've been sanctioned by the Arizona Supreme Court for lying to the court in these frivolous lawsuits. There's one lawyer who's not only been found to be lied to the court, to the Supreme Court, they sanctioned him for that. They charged him money for lying. He was actually disciplined by the Arizona State Bar Association for misrepresentation to the court. Like, there's people out there that have that type of shallowness of character that they're willing to put their name on the line. They're willing to put their reputation on the line for this bullshit. That I have a real problem with. But if you've got a legit bitch, if you've got a real problem with the way that we're doing our job, come to us and tell us. And if we tell you to pound sand and you still think you have a legit complaint, file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
That's why we have the systems.
So, like, are you guys like homies? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're the county recorder and you're working for the Secretary of State, are you guys like buddies?
Well, we don't work for, neither one works for, because they're independently elected.
I just mean like in general, like, do you guys like each other? Like, do people kind of get along, or you're like, yeah, these guys suck, I don't like these guys? You know what I mean?
I tend to get along with a lot more people than other folks do.
Yeah.
Because I don't take this work personally. Okay, so let me give you a for example. The Maricopa County Recorder, Justin Heap, he has been known to have very, very different political views than me. He has been known to say some unkind things about the way that I've run the show in the past. Okay? But when he and I sat down, we had a very collegial conversation. And he had a complaint, a serious complaint about some other folks. And I agreed with him. And I was like, look, when I sat in the chair that you're sitting in now, I would have had the same problem. So let's figure out how we can kind of work through some of these things. And that has a lot to do with the fact that I don't take myself that seriously insofar as what like other people are doing and saying out there. Yeah. Now, I've been in unpopular roles before, which means I've been attacked before. And, eventually you get a thick enough skin. You're just like, oh, okay, that guy hates me. Cool. Now, when it gets to the level of like death threats and threats against your family and people showing up at your house, that's different. But the intra-political stuff, I mean, I've had some of the most serious election deniers up in my office personally, one-on-one, talking about trying to resolve issues and doing things like that. I don't care what your politics are. I want to know how you can approach solving the problem in a way that I can work with you on doing that. That's what I want to do. I want to resolve the issue. Because you're still going to have your audience. I'm going to have my audience. You're going to call me an SOB. I'm going to call you an incompetent fool. Let the political game be the political game. But if you and I can sit down and solve a problem, that to me is what's worth it. That's the big deal.
Yeah, like that's what again, I don't follow much political stuff, but when the stuff I do see, it tends to be like, hey, you're on team A, you're on team B. Let's just talk shit about each other. And I'm like, well, how does that solve the problem itself? Like, it seems like a lot of time and resources get spent on that. And I'm like, well, how are we helping the actual thing?
It's usually not.
You know what I mean?
Usually not. No. And I do know what you mean. And the perception out there is that nobody's doing anything because we're just fighting with each other for the sake of fighting with each other.
Yeah. Well, it's it's clickbaity shit. The news follows it.
There is some truth to that.
Yeah.
Like, that allegation is not without evidence. But some of us don't mind sitting down with folks on the other side as much as we can to try to get to a solution. Because in my view, and this goes back to all the stuff we've been talking about before, and it's part of my professional past, it's part of the way I feel about this country and our systems. I want the fight to be fair. I want the fight to be through a fair and civilized system where the people get to decide. Now, I know that one of the risks is that the people will not always decide the way I prefer. But I can separate my opinion from my duty. And my duty as the Secretary of State is to make sure that all of the voices get heard. My opinion is that they should be heard in a direction that I prefer, but I can separate that from my duty. And that's an important part of being a mature player in this space. Once we can get to the point where we don't see the other side as evil, we just get to see the other side as they think they're right, we think are right, let's try to figure it out, then we can do our duty better. And we can do our duty well, and we can function better. But there's a lot of people out there that can't separate their opinion from their duty. And that's crazy to me. And that's all sides of the political aisle.
Well, for sure. Well, to me, it's like you're a Vikings fan or a Packers fan. And like when you argue, you're trying to convert one guy to the other. I'm like, how are you going to?
Except that the victory of the game between the Vikings and the Packers doesn't have a direct impact on the lives of millions of Americans.
No.
That's the difference. This is, and I say this, I understand the analogy, and I think you're right in the analogy, but it is just a metaphor.
Yeah.
Politics is not, the result of politics is not a game. This is real. We're dealing with real taxpayer dollars. We're dealing with real life systems. Medical systems, educational systems, public safety systems. We're dealing with some serious shit here. And when we cheapen that with, and I don't mean to, this isn't a cheap shot against you.
For sure.
When we cheapen that with the sports analogy, then what we're saying is this is less important than real life. This is real life. Politics is real life. It has a real impact. Think about it this way. Let's say you own a shipping company, okay? And you've got a direct route from this customer to that customer, and the road isn't well paved. And your tires are getting torn up all over the place, and it's costing you a fortune in tires. Some new administration comes in, paves the road. Not only does it cost you less in tires, but your fuel efficiency goes up. That's a big deal to you.
For sure.
You don't care if it's the Vikings or the Packers.
No.
That's what government does. Government has a real impact on the day-to-day lives of people. It has a real impact on their opportunities. It has a real impact on innovation. It has a real impact on all of those things that make our society one of the greatest ever. And we, I think, in a real way, have dismissed it because it's complicated. It's super freaking complicated.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, how does a normal like all of the stuff you would have to learn and know for like a busy guy?
Well, you're never going to be an expert.
It's impossible.
There's a couple of. I think the best thing to imagine is this: a good citizen, in my view, should have a core, basic understanding of the way the government functions. Okay. You can't just go with what you see on the internet and here and there. So, like, you got to actually, in my view, think this is important because the because is this. Look at your pay stub. For all the people watching and listening, look at your pay stub. What comes out for state tax? FICA, Social Security. Go down the list.
Painful.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, that money goes to the government. What government? State government or federal or local or county, right? It's your money. This is your government. You fund it every paycheck. That should be important. It should be important enough for you to pay just a little bit of attention to it. Now, am I saying that a good citizen should be an expert and understand all of it? No. But if you've got school-age kids, you should know what your school district is about. You should know who those people on the school board are because they're the ones deciding the curricula. They're the ones that are going to decide if there's a new ceiling in the lunchroom because the tiles are crumbling and falling into their food. They're the ones who are going to decide a lot of different things about transportation and teacher pay and things of this nature. These are the things that impact our day-to-day lives. And the more local the government, the more direct of an impact it has on your day-to-day life, right? County government does dust abatement. Do you know who your county supervisor is? Do you know who is the person that one of 5 people here in Maricopa County that gets to decide what the policies and process is for all of the county dust abatement? I'm putting you on the spot here. You don't have to know.
Dude, I couldn't even tell you who the mayor is, dude.
Yeah, well, I think yours is Tom Galvin. Good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, Republican, really thoughtful. I like him a lot. So that's.
But it's like,
now you can say,
yeah,
Tom
now I know.
Galvin.
But it's like if you know, like when you get a ballot and you look at it, there's 100 names. I'm like, dude. I mean, I asked Monica because she's got more kids than me and she knows way more than I do. I'm like, I just default to her. That she's not trying to screw me. I'm like, because I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's so much. Hey, be good at this, and this, and then learn all these guys' roles, and then not even talking like the federal shit because it's a whole nother. I'm like,
yeah, it's a whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah, you're like, let me learn all the local people and then kind of reverse engineer from that. It is a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, but it's always been that way.
I know.
And American democracy is a more direct democracy than any other democracy in the world.
Yeah.
When you think about parliamentary systems, that's like Taiwan or France. People are always like, "Oh, France, they know their, the results the day of, within hours." Like, yeah, because you know how many people they're voting for, how many offices? Like 1. That's it. Of course, you can get the ballots counted in 2 seconds. We had 85 different selections on our ballots in Maricopa County, and you can't vote by mail in a lot of these places. You don't have the convenience of exercising your fundamental right over a period of time in a lot of these places. We have a democracy that's very citizen-driven. It's very permissive towards the citizens. It's also very secure and very accountable, but there's that trade-off. We have an elected sheriff in Maricopa County. Law enforcement in many other places is not elected. We can hold that person accountable. We have elected prosecutors. You don't have that in most democracies. They get appointed by the government, whoever the sitting government is. We have all kinds of elected positions to run our stuff. We get to decide these things.
Which is a way better system.
Well, it's different.
Yeah.
Because some people, like, for example, in Taiwan, you walk in to vote. You can only vote from, I think it's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on election day in the prefecture and polling place that's assigned to you using a national ID that was assigned to you at birth. Now, as there's less of a democracy, you get to decide. You get 3 ballots, a pink one, a yellow one, and a white one. The pink one is for president. You get to decide who you want to be your president. There's only 2 or 3 selections on the ballot. It's one piece of paper, and you use one of those bingo markers. Boop.
I mean, it seems easy, yeah.
Right? The second ballot, the yellow one, is for your, or maybe it's the other way, I don't remember. It's for your member of parliament. You got 5 or 6 selections on there. Boop, there's that piece of paper. And then the third one is they have a proportional distribution of members of parliament by party. So like this party gets 32%, they get an extra seat, right? Whatever. So you pick your party, boop, on that ballot. And then because they have a narrow, you have to, oh, by the way, did I mention you had to physically be there on election day? So members of their military don't get to vote. Members of their foreign service who are serving them outside of that town don't get to vote.
That's wild.
We do. So, a lot of people are, well, yeah. And then you get this stack of paper and they hold it up and they say, candidate so-and-so, 1 vote. And they just tally it right there. Boop, boop, boop. You can do several hundred of these, maybe 1,000 of these, and go through all 3 of those pieces of paper and be done by the end of the night. Sure. We can't do that. We wouldn't want to do that because we're closer to our government than they are. They get to appoint all of these officers, all of this other stuff that they do. We have the power. We maintain the power to control who our judges are, who our justices of the peace are. We get to vote for our constables, which is crazy, but it is.
And that's crazy too. It's like a normal person, like when you're voting on judges. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so much to learn.
It is.
Because like, dude, when I look at
very
that, I'm
demanding.
like, judge who? Like I would have no clue. You know what I mean? Like it is super.
Yeah.
It's super cool until I would care until it's like something that affects me, right?
Yeah, and there are, there have been campaigns against certain judicial officers very recently, especially on the Supreme Court, because of a ruling. I think it was an abortion ruling that some of them voted on, and the folks who launched the campaign didn't like it, so they wanted to kick them off the court. I can't remember what the result was, but we have a very direct connection to our democracy. In fact, at statehood, President Taft originally denied Arizona's request to become a state because we had the most progressive constitution that anybody had ever seen. It still stands because it was during the progressive era, right, the 1910s. He said no because we had the election of judges in the Constitution. He sent it back. We amended it. We sent it back to D.C. He says, okay, now you can become a state. And what's one of the first things the newly formed state of Arizona does? Rescinds that amendment. We'd vote for judges now.
That's wild.
That's Arizona. Whenever anybody asks me, what's Arizona politics like, I tell them that story.
It's a Wild West, dude.
It is the Wild West. It still is. We maintain that very independent spirit. We maintain that disdain for authority. We maintain that willingness to sacrifice. We maintain a very, very fierce equality among our people. We've had 5 women governors in the state of Arizona. The state of New York has their first one right now, and California has never had a woman as governor.
No shit.
No shit.
Arnold, though. I'll give him that.
Well,
Bro, Terminator.
that was fun.
In Minnesota. Jesse Ventura.
I got to work with him.
No shit.
Yeah, when we were doing our election stuff during COVID, we had set up a big drive-through election center over at the Cardinal Stadium. We had set some up in a bunch of other big public places, the Cardinal Stadium and the Coyotes as well. We used the ballpark downtown or the convention center. I can't remember one downtown. We used one of the old shopping centers in Mesa that wasn't being used at the time. We had them set up in all these big places. And we got on this Zoom call, and he and I had this kind of conversation because through the Schwarzenegger Institute at USC, they do a lot of democracy stuff.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this thing. And this was back when we were allowed to work with nonprofits. The legislature decided we were doing something weird with the money. What I was doing was talking to Arnold. And we had him going back and forth between some of these people who were out there. And he's like, I feel like I'm on a news show and you're just like sending me to all these remote locations. I'm like, that's how we roll.
That's tight.
It was great. Yeah, no, I have had and still do have an amazing team. They're really, really good.
So is that the goal? Like, so when you do this now, like this role, like you're going to go try to get elected again, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you have, what's the ultimate goal, man? You trying to be like the president or something?
No, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Seriously, man.
It seems like every dude who becomes a president, once they're done, short of probably Trump, like they look like they aged 1,000 years.
That's a tough job.
It seems like the worst thing ever.
That's
like how
a
stressed they
tough
must
job.
be like every day.
Yeah.
Just stressed as fuck.
Yeah.
Like all the shit that they know.
I would lie if I said that it's never crossed my mind. And I don't want to misrepresent anything.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. There's probably 80 or 90 million Americans who've had that thought cross their mind. And it's usually people who have just a little bit of dream, a little bit of ambition, a little bit of thoughts about, I wonder what that would be like. So yeah, the thought has crossed my mind.
To have the juice.
Am I making any efforts towards that end right now? No.
No.
But look, I love what I do, but like we talked about, I don't make any money. Like I'm it's rough. It's
I'm saying,
rough.
like, what's the next step?
Well, I want to, look, I'll give you an example.
Because, like, how it works here, right? Like, for now, you're the, what are you, like, the lieutenant governor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the governor's like, I quit tomorrow, you're the man.
If she quits tomorrow, I become governor.
Pretty sweet. Would that be cool, or would you be freaking out?
No, I think it'd be great. I'd enjoy the hell out of it. Oh yeah. I mean,
like, are you being nervous? You'd
look,
be like,
it's fun. It's fun to be the lieutenant governor because every once in a while she'll leave the state and I'll do like some great proclamation. Like she was gone on May the 4th, 2023,
How does that work?
And
She's
I just proclaimed it May the 4th, Star Wars Day in Arizona. I just had a good time with it.
Yeah.
So
then you're like in charge.
March 14th, I declared it Pi Day because 3.14 or whatever, 151 is the number pi.
I'm getting smart on me now here, yeah.
Well, it's just your nerds in the audience will appreciate that stuff. But it's there is a responsibility that comes along with that, and I need to keep myself up to snuff on all of the issues of the day, just in case.
Yeah.
So we have some reviews of a variety of different policies that are happening and stuff like that. But Katie's a perfectly healthy person who's like right around my age. I don't see her going anywhere. And God forbid some accident befall her or something.
Yeah.
We'll be ready, but I don't anticipate that happening.
So you guys you guys are buddies? Like you talk and stuff? Or you like she's busy doing her thing?
She's doing her thing. I do my thing.
Yeah.
We don't cross paths.
Like I don't know how it's like. It's like a team. Like like you're like LeBron. She's
I
like
do.
Kyrie.
I do hang out with the Attorney General a lot more.
Okay.
Because she and I interact a lot more. We've got a lot of active cases together. We're suing the administration on, they've cut off a lot of funding for our libraries, which has hurt our rural libraries really badly. So we've got an injunction in place to stop them. They've got a couple of other things that have impacted my office and are jeopardizing some of the employees in my space. So we work real closely with Chris Mays. In fact, I'm supposed to tell my people to get a lunch appointment with her, and I forgot to do that yesterday. So
nice.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it'd be a hoot. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, look, if it fell into my lap, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. But in like a couple years, you'd be like, you know what? Maybe I'll just try to be the governor. Because you got to really try.
You really have to try, and you really have to want it. And it's not the presidency, obviously, but it's rough. It's rough to get into those spaces. Look, running a statewide campaign is, especially in a state as big as Arizona, and we're bigger than a lot of states. This is no small potatoes here.
No.
You've got several media markets. You've got to raise millions of dollars. You got to get out there and convince people that you're not as bad as the other guy. Because you can't really promote yourself anymore. You just
how does that work? Like, then you have to talk mad shit about the other person?
You count on other people to do that.
Yeah.
That's how that works. There's this really weird formula of, so you got your campaign proper, that's supposed to elevate you, promote you, get you out there. And then there's all these independent expenditures that you can't coordinate with. Like there's a wall that goes up of communication. You can't coordinate with them. They're interested in helping you, so they'll go dump on everybody else. They'll dump on the opponents. That happened in 2022. My campaign proper was very much about, hey, I'm gonna protect democracy. We're gonna fight for you. Blah 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 blah. And then there was these outside groups that came in and they crapped all over my opponent, and they did a good job. Now, we couldn't talk to them or coordinate with them until after it was all over. But they have to do their own fundraising, so they're out there doing their thing, and it's really super complicated and stuff. It's really far more involved than it ought to be. It's far more involved than it ought to be. I think there ought to be
it's so much
short campaign period. I think it should be publicly financed so that you've got a totally level playing field. And, but both of those things push up against the First Amendment, right? I should be able to say whatever I want whenever I want, as long as I'm not causing harm or inciting a riot or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Fine. So I should be able to campaign all the time, if you look at it that way. But because it's political speech, I think we theoretically should be able to regulate that down. And we should say, 90 days, maybe 100 days, whatever it is, before the election is when you can start your campaigning. We already have that for signs. You can't put signs up before a certain period of time before the election. I also think that there should be publicly funded elections, which gives all of the campaigns, all of the candidates a level playing field. But you run into the First Amendment there, and you run against Citizens United, where the Supreme Court said money is speech. Well, money is speech is great unless you're comparing a disabled veteran and a billionaire.
Yeah.
Who's got more speech? How is that fair? I think that's bullshit, right?
Yeah, that is crazy.
So when you have a guy like Elon Musk who can dump, $250 million into a presidential campaign, he's at a level playing field, right? Now, are there billionaires dumping money into the other side? Of course there are.
For sure.
But why do we need all of that? And why do I give a shit what a billionaire thinks anyway? I want to know what my community thinks. I want to know what the regular people out there who are actually doing the work of the community, actually creating opportunities, actually employing people, actually innovating in their spaces. Those are the folks that I want to be able to listen to. But I can't, because I can't hear them over the money, quote, speech that Citizens United allows the billionaires to spend. And it's tough. And look, full disclosure, I get money from those guys too. The Soroses, they wrote me checks last time, but I only got $5,000 from them. I got $5,000 from one of my uncles too.
Isn't that crazy though? Like now it's so much money, everything.
It's insane.
To be the governor, you need millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like that's wild, dude.
Yeah. And the governor doesn't even pay that much either. I don't think the governor makes over six figures.
For what? For real?
Yeah.
Dude, why are you guys doing these jobs, bro?
Trust me.
You could work. You could work here and make more than that.
Well, what I was going to tell you was, when you're like, what do you want to do next? Grant Woods, who was a two-time Republican Attorney General. He was John McCain's first chief of staff. He became an independent in 2016. In 2020, he decided, because I asked him to chair my reelection campaign, I lost. He talked me into running for Secretary of State, or at least he was very influential in my decision to run for Secretary of State. This guy, after his second term as Attorney General, he could have run for governor. He had a chance to run for U.S. Senate. But when he left, he went to work for a law firm or something, because he's an attorney, and he made a bunch of money. And he lived until he passed away a couple of years ago. He did great, and he was having the time of his life. This is not the end-all, do-all for me. I'm not going to be one of those people who defines his life because I was in public service, right? I don't define myself now as the Secretary of State. I am me first. I am a husband and a father first. I'm a brother and a son first. All that stuff comes before my politics. I didn't run for office till I was 46. This is important to me because it's important to my community, but this isn't everything that you see. Like, I love hanging out by the pool, barbecuing. I fry turkeys for a bunch of friends and family on Thanksgiving. We were talking about that before we started.
Yeah.
Because fried turkey's the way to go. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I throw a big party on New Year's Day at my house, chicken wing sauce eating contest. I'll go down to Rocky Point or wherever, hang out with friends and drink beers on the beach. Like, that to me is life. That's living life.
Yeah, not your job.
The rest of this is a job. And I have chosen a very low-paying job because every once in a while I get to fly to Washington, D.C. and talk to some fancy folks and have a good meal. Every once in a while somebody opens a door for me and says, how you doing, Mr. Secretary? And that's very nice. The work that I do is really damn good too. And it's nice to be able to give back. But this is not the end-all, do-all for me. Not by a long shot. Yeah,
that's what I always wondered, like some of these jobs. I'm like, I didn't know what any even paid. I just assumed it was like way more money.
No.
That's crazy, bro.
It's insane. And it's set by statute. It doesn't just change.
So most people get into it like they just love it, or they're like, I'm going to do this and just keep... Because moving up the chain, there's like no money in it. It's like you're just stressed out.
I think
you know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of people who undersell their ability to do regular work, and they assume that the work that they're doing is easier. Like, politics is hard if you're good at it.
Yeah.
Public policy is not easy. I mean, and is it a lot of meetings where you talk to people and stuff? And yeah, but you've got to be prepared. You got to be ready for all this stuff. There's a lot of background work that goes into it. Making money is not hard. You find something that you like to do and you go do it, and that's that. Doing this sort of stuff has its difficulties, but it's not the hardest thing in the world either. And I think that there's a lot of people who get into public service at the lower levels and then all they see is the track up because of the attention that they get. Right? And I think a lot of people...
It's like the fake celebrity shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, is it fake celebrity? I get recognized at places. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. Because let's just say I happen to be at, the Global or, having dinner somewhere, and I just kind of want to fade in to the background, and I got somebody coming up and like, hey, da-da-da-da-da-da. Usually it's a positive interaction, and I like that, but sometimes it's just like, it's inconvenient.
Yeah, no, it's better to be the dude with all the money and no one knows you versus everybody knows you.
Listen to me complaining. But that is the way to go. But isn't that a lesson that we learn too late most of the time?
My name's on the building, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. You could have been just like anonymous. You should have started with a mask.
It'd have been way better, dude.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. This is not the plan.
But there's a ton of shit that we don't know. We also have to forgive ourselves for not knowing the things that we didn't know when we were young. Right? You get older, you figure things out, but then as you move through, you figure out that you know less than you thought you knew. Right? I have more questions now than I did when I was younger.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And I thought I knew more when I was younger. I thought I had it all figured out, and I did not by a long shot. And now I've resigned myself with humility to the fact that I don't know everything. And I'm just struggling through life like everybody else. Now, I have a particularly weird role in our society because I've chosen this path. But that doesn't make me any better than anybody else. I'm just different. I'm just kind of one of that little bucket of weirdos over here that got elected to something.
I'm going to ask this too. I don't want to keep you all day. So we're a couple hours in. But the AI stuff, the election security, that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've been a big thing, obviously, whatever election you follow, and I only get the pieces that come hey, it's voter fraud, it's this, how much of that does exist, doesn't exist. Part of what you guys do is to make sure it doesn't, or at least the minimum. Yep. Obviously, people are going to cheat anything no matter what. I believe that'll they'll try to, right?
They'll try.
My wife and I play mini golf. She fucking tried to cheat. We're not competing against anybody. She's just trying to win to beat me for whatever. But if
people are competitive,
for sure, so they'll do it with anything. But what do you guys do now with how does the AI stuff work and how do all those pieces work? Because I'm sure it's it's gotten wild from what it used to be to what it is today.
Well, first and foremost, we have really, really, really good election systems. And the scrutiny that we've been under over the last several years has made us get better and better and better and better. They were never perfect. They never will be perfect, but they've gotten a lot better.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to be perfect. And some people will try to hold you to that standard. And you're just like, okay, that's fine. So that's the one caveat. As to AI and any of the threats that we've been seeing emerging, we're still in the discovery phase. And that has a lot to do with the fact that AI is changing so quickly. It's morphing so fast. We don't know where it's going to be. We don't know how it's going to get applied. We don't know yet what potential bad guys are going to try to do as against us utilizing these systems. And so about a year ago, I impaneled a committee, AI advisory committee, and it included people from OpenAI. It included people from civil society organizations. It included people from academia, scientists, and we met once a month for a little over 10 months. We came out with a report. ASU has already adopted one of the findings in the report, and they're putting that into action with an AI sandbox that elections officials can use. And the thing that I can say is we're paying very close attention to it, and we're trying really hard to stay in front of the bad guys, which is nearly impossible. But at least if we can stay even with them, because we are curious, we are trying to figure things out, we are continuing to spend resources learning, I think we're going to continue to be in good shape. I don't see AI as the biggest threat. I see it as a tool to bolster the biggest threats against American elections. And the biggest threats to American elections is the sore losers who want to try to manipulate the systems. Because they can't handle the idea that the majority of Americans deserve to have their voices heard. The sore losers think that they're the ones that should decide. And that's bullshit.
Wasn't it crazy too? A lot of it's most people I think are rational. I would agree.
I agree.
It's just the extremes on either end of anything, and they typically tend to be the loudest. It's like in our world, like if we do something and there's 10,000 comments and 9,800 of them are positive, it's just the 200 super loud assholes is what people focus on. Mm-hmm. I think that's like in politics too. It's probably the same.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I think I have a generally very positive attitude about it, because I understand, I understand the numbers side, right? The numbers are this. You can have, again, like you said, your extremes, they're going to have their opinions, but that discounts the entire everybody else.
Majority.
Who's also voting.
Yeah.
Right? So when you talk about the things that you talk about, particularly in politics, you want a message to the vast majority of people because they're all voting too. The extremists are voting, but everybody else is as well. And I think what we do is we pay too much attention to the extremes. We pay too much attention to the nonsense on either side or multiple sides of nonsense. And we don't ask these rational questions from the reasonable middle, if that's the way we want to describe it, right?
Yeah.
That's where the meat and potatoes is. That's the regular folks. Those are the folks that people like me ought to be listening to all the time. And we should be focusing on with all of our messaging, with all our policy setting, instead of focusing on this. That's why, when I talk about a lot of these lawsuits, I talk about them as bullshit because it should be no surprise. They come from both sides of the aisle. I get hit from the political left just like I get hit from the political right. And these folks that are out there chirping, and my policy always tends towards how do we deal with making sure that the system is fair for every single voter, regardless of the political ramifications at the end. Because it's not who you vote for that matters to me. I mean, for my reelection, it will, of course.
Yes.
But generally speaking, as far as my job goes, it's the fact that you have an easy method to vote that's going to be accountable and secure. Like that for me is the crux of it. Vote for who you want to vote for.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too, since you live in this space and there's people who won't talk to family members because they vote for this guy versus this guy, which seems bonkers to me. That
people are passionate about that stuff.
And alienate a family member because he likes this policy versus this policy. I'm like, that just seems like...
People are passionate about this stuff. I mean, and some people feel very, very aggrieved.
Yeah. Do you have that in your own personal family? Like, there's people in your circle, they just think something different. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to Uncle Ricky because he likes this dude and I like this dude.
There are Democrats that I won't talk to.
Because
they're liars.
Well, I mean, that I get.
I mean, okay, so you're just talking about the political opinion stuff. Oh,
yeah, because you're like, hey, my buddy likes this team and I like this team and he likes it and he has his reasons whenever and you have yours. You don't hate him because of that. He just has a different belief than you do.
Well, but again, we go back to, there are some people who internalize the impact of the politics of the other. Okay? So the other person has a certain political point of view. They're voting a particular way. This person is internalizing the results of that political opinion. And they're internalizing it to the point where they're saying, no, I'm not going to interact with this person anymore. I'm going to ostracize that person, even if it's a family member. That's not something that I will judge negatively on its face. Whether or not I practice that, I don't. But whether or not I do, because the person who's ostracizing the other thinks they're right.
Well, for sure.
The person who made the choice to go the opposite direction thinks they're right. So which one is right? And why do I get to judge that? I mean, if they're being dicks to each other, that's different, right? But if you're just not talking to somebody because you've chosen to not talk to them, what does it matter why? You've made a decision to cut that person out of your life. You and I might sit here and be able to agree that politics is probably not a good reason to do that. Other people don't think that way. They think politics is the only reason to do that.
Yeah, it's like ride or die shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy for me because I'm not that way. So that's why I wonder.
And you don't have to be that way, right? And that's okay. That's a choice that you're making. That's one of the beauties of this system. We get to make these decisions, and we all get to make our own judgment calls on these decisions. Unless and until the big bad government comes in and decides you cannot make these choices, you cannot make these decisions, we will decide for you. That's the problem. That's the problem that we have. And that's, in many places, people are suspicious that that's starting to manifest. And that's causing a lot of grief and consternation and hand-wringing out there. And that's fine. We can get past it. I'm very, very positive on this country. I'm very positive on Arizona. there's a lot of division out there. There's a lot of fighting out there. But when you think about the underlying general space that we operate in, and I'll go to the folks that you mentioned a little while ago, the vast majority of people out there, they're not nuts.
No.
They want to live their life, do their job, make a couple of bucks, go on vacation, have a couple of beers once in a while, and that's it.
Don't fuck with me. Just let me do my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they live the number one rule of all time. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is the number one rule of all time. That's it. They don't want to be messed with. They don't want to mess with anybody else. That's the vast majority of us. Those are the people that I believe in. Those are the people that give me faith and give me hope every single day. Because the extremes aren't big enough to drag everybody down. They're going to drag some people down. And people have gotten hurt because of the nonsense. But the vast majority of us are not there. And that's where I like to try to operate, outside of those extremes.
Well, yeah, no, it's cool that you can, like, if my wife and I don't agree on voting for certain things, like, that should exist.
Sure.
Like, we can still be married. I don't really give a shit. Like, you believe this, I believe this. I'm like, but we can still be, like, friends.
I know married couples who vote very differently on every single thing, and they're very, very happily married.
Yeah.
And they can compartmentalize
that makes sense to
political disagreements.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The founders felt that way. Right? Yeah. They knew that we needed. They felt that way about just about everything. How do we know that? Because we have elections. If we didn't have elections, then the assumption isn't that we think differently. The assumption is the opposite, that we all think the same. And we don't need elections.
But wouldn't that be fucked anyway if we all thought the same? Like, wouldn't it be weird?
That's the problem.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the problem. When you reject the notion that everybody gets to think differently, you're rejecting the foundational principle of this country, and that is we will think differently. And that's why we have elections. We have to have elections. We got to operate this thing. We got to make choices. So the reason we have elections is because how else are you going to innovate? If the three of us sitting here have different ideas and different notions about this calendar sitting right here, we might be able to develop a different calendar based on what you said that keys something in his head, and I'm like, oh, let's make this. Okay, let's do that. That's innovation. That happens in government, as it happens in business, as it happens in food service, as it happens in transportation, as it happens in education. It's the difference of ideas that is our strength. And I tell people this a lot, and they get a little hinky when I first say it. Diversity is our strength. I'm not talking about diversity of skin tone or religion or national origin or language. I'm not talking about those kinds of diversity. I'm talking about the diversity of thought that presupposes that we're going to have elections. Because we need to have different opinions to progress, to move forward as a society. Otherwise, that weird thing happens that we all think the same. We're not North Korea for a reason.
Yeah, that shit sounds rough, bro.
Yeah.
Real rough.
Yeah. So it's the diversity of opinions that help things develop. Look, take it into the personal training world. How many different ways are there for people to do the things that they do? 1 million.
Endless.
Right? What if there was only one? Would it apply to all body types?
No, it'd suck.
Would all nutrition plans apply to everybody?
No.
No, of course not. It's the diversity of opinion that makes that space be able to develop new exercises, new techniques, new types of ways of looking at human physiology and the way that we develop our bodies and our minds and our souls and all of this other sorts of stuff. Elections are the way that an intelligent, mature, civilized society makes its decisions about how they go to the next period of time. That's why they're so valuable. And we have to have diversity of thought to be able to make those advances. And so elections are really the keystone. And when you doubt elections with no real evidence, when you shun the idea that some people ought to be voting and other people ought not to be voting just because of who they are, there's plenty of people out there right now that are saying that women shouldn't be voting, which I think is stupid.
Bro, that's wild.
It's stupid, but there are people saying that. These are ignorant bits of rhetoric that are being kicked around out there that reduce the amount of capacity that we have to bring all these ideas to the table, to bring this conversation to the table.
Isn't that crazy too, though, if you really think about it? Like, these dudes are like, let's make the Constitution. They're like young dudes.
In their 20s, a lot of them.
Yeah, they weren't like 50 years old.
Yeah.
Dude, when I was 20, I was smashing beers and like headbutting walls and shit.
So were they.
Isn't that crazy? But then isn't that,
they were.
If you think about it, wasn't that nuts? Like that they could draft and put this together. And this is like what we still follow to this day. If not, like we could be North Korea or who knows what the fuck this would be.
We were.
That's wild to me.
It's wild, but here's the one thing that people forget. They didn't get it right the first time. People forget that the United States of America's original organic document was the Articles of Confederation. When we fought the Revolution, we fell under the Articles of Confederation. The Constitution wasn't dreamt up yet. When the Articles of Confederation was shown to not be working very well, and the Federalist Papers were published by Publius and these conversations were had, then we got into the Constitution.
And like get it right, yeah.
To try to get it right. We were willing to make changes. We were willing to step forward. We were willing to progress. And even then we didn't get it right, so we created 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights because the Constitution wasn't enough on its own. And then we've amended it, 17 times since then to make tweaks and adjustments.
Yeah.
So they didn't get it right the first time. And that's one of the reasons why I think humility is so important. Humility is another American value, humility and empathy, that I think a lot of people forget. You didn't figure out how to read on your own. You didn't figure out how to use a knife and a fork on your own. Somebody helped you.
For sure.
All of the things that you know how to do and the skills that you've perfected, you had to have started somewhere. You didn't do it all on your own. This notion, this mythology of the self-made man is just macho bullshit, right? Real men are protectors and providers, and they are grateful and they are humble. They know where they came from. They know who helped them, and they're glad for it. And they're willing to help the next generation. This is part of why that lyric in the song, The Grand Old Flag, it's a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag. You know that song, right? No? You didn't play the friggin' thing? Yeah, you did. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Next line, every heart beats true under red, white, and blue. Catch this. Where there's never a boast or brag, but should all acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on that grand old flag. The lyric, where there's never a boast and brag, was one of the purest expressions of humility in the American ethos. We don't need to puff out our chests to show that we're better. We don't need to tell the world that we're better. We just need to be better. We need to perform better. When you look, I'll bring it back to your world. You walk down the street in a Dalton and Garrett t-shirt,
2024.
You don't need to boast or brag. You don't need to tell the world that you are a fit human being. You don't need to tell anybody that. The product of your work shows it. Why isn't that enough for America? Why do we got to go out there and pretend like, oh my gosh, we're so great and we're exceptional, we're this, we're that? Why can't we just do it and shut the fuck up and enjoy a beer? Because that's, in my view, what a real man would do. In my view, that's what a real American would do. Let folks understand it, and if they can't figure it out, that's their problem. I did a great job, and I'm going to move on. Where there's never a boast or brag is one of the most important pieces of misunderstood American this expression of that ethos, of that value that we should have, I think. Humility and gratitude. I am grateful for what I got, and I'm humble that I'm able to receive it and then share it. That to me is what the notion of what this country ought to be about. That's why I believe in fairness and that fair fight. And that's why I fight so hard to make sure that everybody can vote. Everybody gets a voice. Because when we all speak together, we have a more true expression of what America really thinks. When everybody gets to vote.
Agree.
So why don't we make sure that everybody can vote? Why don't we make sure that we make it secure and accountable, yes, but easy? Let's make it so that we don't have to do all this extra paperwork and proving of this and proving of that we've never had to do. We're just making it harder and harder and harder and harder for people to vote. Why? Because you don't like what the results are? That's bullshit.
Well, yeah, if I had to go between 8 and 2, I probably wouldn't make it, dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I just wouldn't show up.
Well, and there's not a lot of people that disagree with you. we have a very small number of people in our society who actually vote out of those that are eligible.
Isn't that crazy too?
Well, because they're expressing the same sort of thing that you've expressed. Maybe I don't understand it enough. I don't want to make a bad choice. And there's a reluctance and a reticence there. But what that tells me is that they do care. They care enough to not want to get it wrong.
Yeah, I'm not just going to pick a guy. Like, it's like a Scantron test. Like, let me just
100%.
guess.
So what's the solution to that? You got to go do the work. You got to go look. You got to read a little bit. You got to kind of figure it out. And you're never going to get it right 100% of the time.
No. But
you got to give yourself a little grace.
You care about the shit that, like, affects you.
100%.
Like, and then until it doesn't, then you do. Like, that's kind of like the school stuff. Like, I didn't have kids before. I really wouldn't have. I didn't really give a shit.
But it would have been, let me just throw this back at you.
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean this to be unkind.
No, for sure.
It would have been a better expression of citizenship to know about that stuff for your neighbor's kids.
100%. But I was like a normal dude.
I get it. I get it. And
Yeah.
and here's the thing. Give yourself enough grace to say, I was there, I've grown up.
Oh, yeah.
And then continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to learn. That is, to me, the most real expression of this sort of this lifelong good citizenship thing. You don't have to be perfect to be a good citizen. You just got to try.
Yeah. Well, like, again, like me and my buddies at 24, like, we're going to care about who's a superintendent. I'm like, it's on the list of things to do in the day was not, number.
So it's a little lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get that.
And so I forgive you, my son.
Yeah.
We move on.
I'll ask you these. I'm curious about these before I go. There's on my list.
Yeah.
Like term limits and stuff in government.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the best idea.
You think like some of the people have been there for like 100 years? Like that's cool.
That's up to their constituents.
Yeah.
I'm not a gigantic fan of taking power away from people. If people like the person that's doing the job,
let them do the job.
Let them do the job.
Yeah.
We don't have term limits on spouses. We pick someone, we stick with them.
Yeah. It's like 50-50 these days. Yeah.
I mean, okay, you can. I've been through a divorce too, so that was a bad example.
I get what you're saying. No, I just know people get so they're passionate about it. Obviously, some people are like, "Yeah, these guys have been there too long. We should get rid of them." This and this. I go, but who's to say the next person that you put in?
And I can tell you right now, the vast majority of those people are talking about somebody else's district and somebody else's representative. They're not talking about their own.
No.
They will continue to vote for the same people they've voted for over and over and over and over again. The more important thing than term limits, I think the far more important thing than term limits is the gerrymandering, which is where you create districts that are so safe that the person elected in that district is never going to get unelected because of the party politics. I think we ought to have some very, very strict rules that distribute that power much more evenly and much more competitively, because now that competition allows the cream to rise to the top. And you stick around, you're not going to stick around as long unless you are making sure that you've got all your bases covered.
Yeah, like some type of like outcome, like, hey man, let's great versus just like, hey, just show up, do the job. If you suck, you're just here.
Or open primaries is also a better way to do that, I think.
True.
And even in a like a solidly red district, for example, the Democrats would say, well, but in an open primary, you're going to get 2 Republicans on the ballot instead of a Republican and a Democrat. My response is, sure, but which Republican is going to win? The Republican that reaches across the aisle and gets more voters from the other side.
True.
So now you've got someone that's more moderate, someone that's less extreme. So open primaries is not a silver bullet, but it is definitely...
And it works both ways, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, no, that's one part as an example.
Yeah, for sure.
But it could work the other way. So, yeah, I think that's certainly something that we ought to be thinking about.
And I would ask this too, and I already probably know the answer. Like if someone's like not happy with like local shit, like the best course of action is to obviously vote, but like what else?
Go to the local meeting. Raise hell.
Yeah.
That's what America's about. I mean, the Boston Tea Party wasn't exactly sit around and hold daisies and sing Kumbaya.
But like if you were salty, like that's what you would do?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I ran for office.
Yeah.
I ran for office.
Get it, yeah.
No idea that I was going to win. In fact, like I said, my campaign manager, first thing out of the gate, he said, you're not going to win. And I said, I know. But in this system, you hold elected officials accountable by running against them. You have that conversation. You meet them in the public square. Now, I'm a traditional guy. Public square doesn't exist anymore, but to a degree, that's what these campaigns are supposed to be about.
Yeah.
So if you've got a problem with what's happening in your local city council, for example, every city council meeting has this thing called call to the public. You show up and you can raise hell. Raise hell. I would suggest be polite and don't make any threats. But you can raise hell, and you can raise hell about anything you want. Go to your school board meeting. Raise hell. Why not? That's what America is about. We're about a competition of ideas. We're about having this robust conversation, adults to adults, about our agreements, our disagreements, and all that stuff. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we've made culturally is say that we're not going to talk about politics or religion because it's impolite. You know what that does? It preserves the power that the political people have and that the religious people have, because now they don't have to face any scrutiny. That's all it does.
That makes sense.
What if we talked about politics and religion as a matter of course, and it wasn't impolite to talk about politics and religion? We'd have much more basic conversations about it all the time because it would be normal. It'd be just something that we talked about. It would be passé. But no, we had this weird thing that happened, and I can't remember when, but I bet you dollars to donuts, it was a politician and a priest that got together and said, let's say that it's impolite to talk about politics and religion, then nobody will scrutinize us. We just get to operate in the shadows.
It is a weird thing that people they just get hyped up. Like it's, it's not, like there's people you meet, like we can talk here, shoot the shit with people, and it's typically cool.
Yeah.
But then there's some people you're like, oh man, like they get a little bit wild, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to get that worked up over it.
Well, there's stuff that you're going to get worked up over.
For sure.
Some people choose politics.
But like, yeah, it's just not that. Within reason.
I don't get worked up over Star Wars versus Star Trek. But there are some people who are very, very passionate about one versus the other.
It's been so wild to me, dude. Oh, but there's
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I get it 100%. I've never seen either, by the way. I've never seen Star Wars.
You've never seen Star Wars?
Not 1 minute of one movie.
We're done, right?
Not one. Isn't that crazy?
We're done, right?
I told Dave DiLorenzo that too. He bought shit his pants. He's my business partner in one of our mastermind coaching groups.
You've never seen?
No. He came in here with a fucking Star Trooper helmet. I've never watched it, man. It was not my thing.
You missed out on like one of the most important.
I don't even know the order to go in.
I'm so behind. The first one that came out. That's the only one you need to watch.
It just seems like, it's my.
What? I don't.
My wife's never seen.
You remember 77? Yeah. Because you and I are about the same age. How old are you?
41.
That's why.
It's a little bit too early. I would have had to go back and be like.
That's why. You're as old as my wife is. She wasn't even. You guys weren't even born when.
No.
In 1977, when Star Wars came out.
I'm not even alive.
You could not escape anywhere. And remember, you had a limited number of TV stations.
For sure.
There was no cable. You had a limited number of radio stations. You had a limited number of newspapers. None of this internet, anything existed. Everything had Star Wars.
And it's probably the coolest thing you ever saw.
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely mind-blowing. People were shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had all that shit, too.
Yeah, see, I
had all that original. Did you ever have one of the Darth Vader head cases to put all you open the case and like I had a life size, like not life size, but one of those Chewbacca that was about this big, and
see, this is before my time.
I feel a little bit sad for you, man.
Yeah, it's just it wasn't my thing, man. We didn't have it. Like when I'm a kid, it's like G.I. Joe and He-Man and Thundercats.
Yeah,
and all that
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, so that's real. And then that becomes a movie. Dolph Lundgren plays He-Man, actually. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Thundercats.
I have all this shit here, dude, yeah.
Thundercats. That's after my time.
Just wasn't my thing. Anyways, I'll ask these last two. The people who... if they're considering like politics or something like your route, like is there something you wish somebody would have told you prior or anything like that? Like if someone's like, you know what, where I live, it sucks. I want to be the mayor because I can do a better job. I'm assuming that's how a lot of things start.
I would very highly suggest that anybody interested in politics find 3 or 4, no less, 3 or 4 elected officials at different levels who are willing to sit down and talk to them over a cup of coffee for at least half an hour. and they ask those individuals, what's it like? Because you got to do your homework. It is a total lifestyle changer. Like, it's an absolutely different existence. It's fucking weird. I'll just say it like that.
Yeah.
Being a politician is it's another kind of experience, because I consider myself a trustee for the office of the Secretary of State, but the law considers me the embodiment. I am the Secretary of State, okay, in every way, legally and otherwise. Now, there's only the slightest little bit of disconnect in my own head, because I don't want to become sucked into my own bullshit, right? And that the title is everything.
You become like a character of yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. And so I kind of try to keep at least just a gnat's ass worth of difference between there. But anybody interested in politics or potentially running from office, find a couple of folks that represent you at a variety of different levels, at least 3 or 4 of them, and then just ask them the question, right? And you'd be surprised at the folks who are willing to talk to someone who's going to run for office. We're pretty, we like listening to ourselves talk. We'll talk to people. Yeah, that's the best piece of advice I could give you. Just understanding that it's a total lifestyle changer.
Yeah, like what the role is, what your day-to-day, because again, from having a normal job, like being an attorney or whatever, to this.
It's so different.
Weird thing.
And when I was practicing, I was on TV. I had some very high-profile cases. The Fast and Furious case I had. I don't know if you remember that, the gun running case.
No.
Where the ATF Group 7 here in the Phoenix area was allowing these guys to purchase a bunch of weapons and then sell them to the cartels. And they were like, well, when we find them down there at a massacre scene, we'll be able to trace them back. Like, the government was letting these guys sell guns.
Wild, dude.
Yeah, watching them. So that case, and this is all public stuff that I can talk about. That case, there was a bunch of folks that were indicted, and I represented Miguel Angel Celis Acosta, the number 1 guy in that organization. And it was insane. It was one of the craziest things in the world. So I had a public exposure through that. And I did media stuff, and people were asking me questions on the steps of the courthouse. So it wasn't like I wasn't in public at all. But the degree of difference between being an elected official and being a lawyer who gets on TV once, maybe twice a year, it's a whole different ballgame. Whole different ballgame. It used to be that people would call me, hey, I saw you on TV. And now nobody gives a shit.
Because it's part of the game.
They sometimes will call me and they'll be like, hey, I haven't seen you on TV in a while. I mean, it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so different. Yeah.
And does that ramp up for you then? Like when it comes election time, you got to do kind of like a tour, basically?
Yeah. I'm a retail politics guy. I like to be out there in the communities, talking to people. I'm going to be in Payson this weekend, doing some sort of a little bit of starting up the campaign, getting things going. I'm going to visit all 15 counties before the primary, which is next summer. Just that sort of stuff. You want to get out there. You want to meet people. People want to meet you. And 2 things really happen. A, it humanizes the candidate.
For sure.
And that's incredibly important because it doesn't just humanize the candidate for the person you meet. It humanizes the candidate for their friend. Because you can say, hey, I met Fontes over in Holbrook. Seems like a reasonable guy. Friend's like, cool, you met him. Now, through you, that person, friend, family, coworker, they have a connection to me.
It's your business referral, essentially.
Essentially. It's the same type of thing that any other business person will do. It's networking. But politics is a different scale.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll be pretty active doing that stuff. We'll be getting around.
And so that's the next is just do this again. Keep it rolling.
That's I mean, I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I have this saying that I tell people stuff. I'm like, look, if you're not having fun, do something else.
I agree.
It ain't worth doing. If you're not enjoying it, do something else. Don't be miserable. Life is too freaking short to be miserable, right? If you're miserable in a relationship, get in a different relationship.
Agreed.
If you're miserable where you live,
Move.
If you can, move.
That's what people say all the time. They go, I live in Wisconsin. What do you suggest? I'm like, move. It sucks, dude. And I don't mean to like to be a dick, but I'm like, because the weather's so shitty, dude. It's like, I'm a different person here. It's just sunny every day. Even if it's hot as balls right now, it does suck. I go, but it's sunny. You're just in a better mood.
Yeah.
Than if it's 4 degrees and cloudy. It sucks, man.
And I don't understand it.
That's not fun.
I because of work, I end up in Washington, D.C. a lot. I don't know how people live there.
Bro.
It's
so expensive, too.
It's gross because you can be cold and humid there, and it makes the cold that much worse.
I don't
I lived in Denver for law school. The cold in Denver is wonderful because it's dry. You can be outside in shorts and a T-shirt at 50 degrees or even less. It doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
Right? You do 50 degrees in like Washington, D.C. or some of these other more humid places, forget about it. It's cold. That wet air is just all over you and it's freezing. Don't forget about it. Not for me.
Yeah.
And if other people like it, that's fine. Let them. But again, I'll be doing this at least for another term. I feel good. I feel confident that once folks make the analysis of, the job that I've done, which I think we've done a really good job for voters, for Arizona citizens, for businesses, once I win my reelection, then we'll consider what's going to happen next. But I'm not going to make any like long term. I'm not that guy who's like, I want to do that, because you end up setting yourself up for disappointment. Like, I want to be happy. I want to enjoy life. I want to do good things. Like, what are those things? Well, there's lots of good things to do.
For sure.
I don't have to do that good thing. I want to feel good, right? I want to watch my kids grow up and be happy and successful. So that's what I want to do. And I've worked hard enough up to this point in my life that I have an enormous number of options. And I'm very privileged because of that. And I'm very grateful for that. So there isn't any one path. There's a lot of speculation out there. People talk about what I'm going to do next. And I find that flattering and also cool.
But you don't even know, so how the hell do they know? You know what I mean?
Well, they know. Some of them are very confident.
Yeah. No, that's cool though. I mean, I think if the thesis isn't like, hey, I'm happy, man, and this work is fulfilling, and I can check all the boxes, and it kind of fits my lifestyle, then what's the point of I need to be this thing for whatever reason?
Well, look, there's real work that gets done. There's days where I'm just like, by 3:00 in the afternoon, I'm done.
Smoked.
Yeah, I'm done, and I might still have things to do. But look, I get to travel. I go to cool conferences in different places. I get to meet some very interesting people all over the state of Arizona. I've got a nice office. I've got a great team. They're very responsive. They're very professional. They do a wonderful job. And I have a decent enough life where I can have a weekend here and there. But for campaign season, when I'm 24/7, balls to the wall running, it's generally, pretty manageable. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. And you like that, though?
Yeah, it's...
you enjoy enough of it to keep doing it versus
if I didn't like what I was doing, I wouldn't run for re-election.
Yeah, because if you're like, hey, man, Jeremy, this is your job. Go to Payson and meet people. I'd rather do lunges around the parking lot. You know what I mean? That just sounds not fun to me.
Yeah.
Just meeting random people. Nah, dude.
I feel like I should do lunges around the parking lot, but I'm going to go
meet people in Payson. Yeah.
Instead.
I mean, we all, what I'm saying? I can't turn it on for that long. It just seems like it's exhausting. Personality type. But if that's your thing, then I get it.
Well, yeah. And you know what it's like to be on and not be on. And it's just you're
playing a role.
It is exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, it's who you are, but it's like the benefit for our world is you can turn a camera on and you can rip it when you want to rip it.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be there. When I go speak to people, that's different. I got to show, that's what the money's for. You show up that day, that time, you talk, and that's my thing. But when I'm done, I'm I'm not hanging out in the crowd for hours. And that's what you get.
I am, but so that's where kind of the difference comes in. I don't mind it that much.
Yeah.
I get a lot of energy from a crowd. I get a lot of energy from people. The conversations, the inquiries, the questions, the thoughts, going through these sorts of things, and I think that has a lot to do with my ADHD, and it has probably a lot to do with the fact that like why I was really in my place when I was doing trial work, because there are so many things going through your head at the same time. I mean, when you're standing up in front of a jury, you've got an audience of multiple dimensions. You've got 12 different people in the box. You got a witness. You got opposing counsel. You got your client. You got the judge. You got the court reporter, and you have to be on in different ways for each of these different audiences. And that's just absolutely fascinating. And it's really kind of fun. That engaged, you're so focused and the time just goes like that. And you feel exhausted but exhilarated at the end of it. That's like politics. There's always a million people in the room. There's a million audiences. You got to pay attention to where are the cameras, where are the reporters, who's actually listening to what I'm saying. We're going to read the mood of the crowd so that you can bring them up or take them down wherever, use those rhetorical tricks that the performative stuff. That's my place, and
you're always downloading basically, what people are saying, their information, you get to know them, then you take that stuff, use it, move it. Like I get that part of it.
Yeah. And so
that's work though.
It is work, but I like it. And, at some point I might not like it anymore. I'll do something else. Again, if it ain't fun, don't do it.
I dig it, man. That's good shit. Where do these guys find you at? They stalk you? What do? You do Instagram?
I do Instagram.
And then you have like a team one, right? Because I saw one of them. It looks like that was not your shit. You weren't posting that.
Yeah. On where?
You have an Instagram, but then like you have like a character Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
There's an official one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arizona Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And then my Instagram is Adrian.Fontes, which is totally boring. The campaign is going to be launching into that space. I think I'm on TikTok. I talk about how oatmeal is awesome.
Boom. TikTok. I fucking hate TikTok, bro. We do it. We use it. It's the worst, dude.
I love TikTok.
It's
I get all my stock advice, my trading advice from TikTok.
TikTok.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, we use it. I don't like any of it, dude. It's too much, man. It's just fast. I don't use social media like a normal person. It's just I've been doing it for too long. I've been in the game forever.
You see, same, but I have a couple of personal social media accounts. I have a bunch of campaign social media accounts, and then I have the official side social media accounts. And it's impossible to keep track. I don't even know what my password for LinkedIn is. I've never even looked at my LinkedIn page. Like that's run by the office or by the campaign. It's one of those.
It's probably better, yeah.
Yeah, and they put look, my campaign, the office pays folks to do the official stuff because that's official. It's just information. It's just generally stuff. The campaign has a purpose too. The campaign pays people to do that. I don't,
And it's crazy too because some of the political people they become like a celebrity, and that's like what you do in fitness. It's no different.
Yeah.
Like we've just done it at a clip for so long where it's like we built the business out of it, obviously.
Sure.
But then there's politicians who do that. Like they become a person. Yeah. They're so popular just because they post on social 24/7, 365.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
No.
I don't have time for that shit. Unless someone's going to follow me around with a camera every day and catch 30 seconds of me saying this or catch that. But I don't want to live in that world. I genuinely do not want to live in that world because I don't first of all, I don't know that I'm really that interesting. I mean, I have a different path that I took.
For sure.
But I don't know that I'm really that interesting. Second, I don't know that I'm really that creative. Like, how do you come up with new shit all the time? Like, I don't know how you come up with the new shit that you come up with. That's fascinating to me because every time I get on, you're like doing some other new thing. And I just I guess I could try. And I think, I'm going to do what Jeremy's doing today. And then, of course, I don't do it.
Say, fuck it.
Yeah, that's why I look like this, not like that.
No, man. It's a job. It's a different... We have a team of people who help do a lot of the stuff, too.
Oh, sure.
But, yeah, it is definitely... You live in it. That's why, when I get on there, we post and ghost. I do it and I get off because I'm like, I can't get sucked into this.
Oh, I never get into the conversation at the end. No. If somebody's telling me something, they're talking to staff, and I'm just like, don't respond. But we don't have time for that. No. We do not have time. You got to just keep moving and moving.
It's usually not the positive people. It's the negative ones that kind of like it. And what you guys do too, it's and people get pissed off about fitness, which is people get real pissed about the shit you guys do. So it's like you don't want to get.
We get we get one of the members of my security team is a threat assessment officer that's on all of my socials and on like dark web spaces and lurking around in 4chan and all these other places where a lot of these threats have emerged and stuff like that. We've had some pretty serious shit go down in the last several years. So that's kind of the dark side of this thing.
I'd imagine, yeah.
You know, the conversation about, go back to Mexico. And on that one, I usually respond, I'd love to, but I'm out of vacation time.
Yeah.
You know, those sorts of things, I joke about that stuff, but it's rooted in some serious ignorance. And so particularly on the official side, we watch very carefully. The team watches very carefully.
For sure.
And they brief me on stuff like that. But
because you're like a real person who lives in the real world.
yeah.
Like
but the rest of it, like I don't have time. I don't have time to have all of these like back and forth conversations. I know there was a former elected official who was a political opponent of mine, and we're now very good friends. He's one of those guys who would engage on Twitter.
Oh, dude, Twitter's the worst.
What a shit show. He would engage and have these conversations. I think he still kind of does. And it drove me a little bit nuts because I kept thinking, bro, you don't have to talk to this person.
No.
You're not going to convince them anything sensible. They're not going to pay any attention to you. They just want to suck the energy out of your life, and you're giving it to them. Like you're just giving it to them. Whatever.
It's always been a weird thing to me because people get so worked up and they talk just so much mad shit, like in those ecosystems. We live it, obviously. Mm-hmm. And if you believe that, then you believe like the world fucking sucks and people hate you, but then you go to Safeway and everybody's super cool. And I'm like, oh.
Well, but again, so this goes back to the thing you were talking about earlier. You find it very hard to believe why people would be so pissed off about politics. I find it very hard to believe that, people in the fitness world are so mean to each other. Or at least in those sort of areas.
Crazy.
They get crazy, right? So, like, I try to work out a bit, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I certainly could be a lot better at it, and I'd like to be. But it drives me nuts when, it's like I said, it's the same thing. I can see why people get worked up about politics. The same way that you can see how people get worked up about fitness.
Which is crazy. It's all crazy to me.
But you can see it.
Yeah, no, I understand. They get
so that's it's the same reaction to a different space.
Yeah,
somebody just thinks that they are right, and they're gonna friggin' tell you. And, okay.
And I go again. Most people in the middle, pretty cool. Just kind of move with it, and they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the crazy stuff on the outside.
Yeah.
That shit'll suck you in though. Eat up your whole day, man.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll read this stuff. I just don't respond.
Oh,
I
no,
love
yeah.
reading this stuff. I have there's like
you should do what we do.
I have the top 10 list of best insults that I've received online.
We made a video of it.
Did you?
Yeah, it's like a how long is that video? 90 seconds. I read like it's probably like 40 comments.
But like the mean tweets thing.
Yeah. So we chop through them all. Where they're like, yeah, you need Botox, all the shit. Like they'll smoke me on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking great. They're hilarious.
I think that my top one response, and I can't remember who it was on Twitter, and I said something, and the reply was, shut your mouth, fucko. And I just thought that was it's the most memorable.
That's fucking great, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought, wow.
I mean, I might use that. Like, that's going to be in a group text now when somebody says something.
It struck me because it was so perfectly it was the perfect length for Twitter.
Yep.
Right. And the way it was.
I've never said that before, and that's a crispy. That's a good.
It was solid.
It cuts
and
fast.
I can't remember who said it. It doesn't really matter, and I can't remember what the context was. Just the fact of its existence.
It's amazing.
Kind of filled my soul a little bit because it wasn't mean. Right? It wasn't like he was taking a real shot at me.
No, he was just like...
He was just like it was, and it wasn't really, he wasn't really disagreeing with what I said.
No.
He was just telling me to shut up.
Yeah, I liked it. I might have given it like a well played reply, like thumbs up, dude.
I actually talked to my team. I'm like, I want to like that reply. And they're like, don't you dare.
Yeah, that's a good
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Shut your mouth, fucko. I'm going to use that like on a group text. That's
Yeah.
legit. I like it.
It had an impact on my soul.
That's awesome.
And not necessarily a negative one.
No. No. This is good, man. This is great. I appreciate you coming on, man.
I'm happy to be here, and it really is a privilege meeting you. I've been following you, and I like your shit, and
small world, dude.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually didn't realize you were here in Scottsdale for the longest time.
No shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't follow you that closely.
No, it's well, again, it's not like I'm like walking around like we only post places when we leave there. This is like you. Like I don't like to.
Yeah.
I don't wear my t-shirts when I go places. I don't like And again, not that like you do this long enough, people see you and go places. And so like my wife have been like we've been in like we're like Prescott like at the lake and like she's arguing with me like talking shit. And then some guy's like, "Oh yeah, I saw you and your wife at the lake today." And I'm like, "Oh, this is fucking great." You know what I mean? Like you'll get like, and so now I go, "Dude, people are always around." So we try to like do
that happens a lot.
Yeah. So I try to just like, hey man, when we go somewhere, like just don't be fucking mean to me until we get to the car.
Well, it's funny because I was it's almost the exact same type of a situation. We were at a bar that's usually frequented by one of my assistants, and my wife and I just showed up to have a drink one night, and he got a text message the next morning. "Hey, I saw your boss at the bar. Why weren't you with him?" Type of thing.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and I had no idea that anybody recognized me. So it happens.
And that's what I mean, like when you're talking, like, and not that I mean, I say the same shit I would say to you. I'm like, but we talk very openly all the time. So people hear you talking, doing whatever, or maybe we're just fucking around. And then people think like my wife and I talk, the way we talk to each other.
Best lesson I ever got from Bill Ritter, the guy that I mentioned earlier, was don't write it down. In other words, don't say it unless you're okay with it being on the front page of the Denver Post. Of course, we were in Denver at the time.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's like I've come to the conclusion that pretty much everything and everywhere I go, I have to be as much my authentic self as possible, because that way I will be consistent in my opinions. Nobody will ever be able to do the flip-flop gotcha weird shit like that on me. And even if it's a little bit rough or a little bit impolitic, it's what I think. It's who I am. And nobody will ever be able to second guess. And it's kind of liberating to just be yourself all the time and understand somebody's probably always watching or listening.
And someone's going to be pissed no matter what. So you might as well just be yourself as you do it.
That's just it. That's just it. I have a group of people that just do not like me. And I've come to the conclusion that it's not a terrible thing. You just have to be able to pick really good enemies. And if you've got really good enemies, you're going to be okay.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Good stuff, brother.
Right on.
I appreciate this, dude.
Happy to be here.
I'll put all your Instagram stuff in the bio to get some people who are on your trail now.
Awesome.
Looking at your stuff. If anything else comes up, just hit me up, man. I'll have you back on.
Sure thing.
Chit chat.
Quick promo.
Yeah, go crazy.
The America 250 semi-quincentennial celebration of 250 years of America has a Operation Freedom Trail that the Arizona Trail is promoting. And that's an 800-mile trail that, as you probably know, goes from Utah to Mexico. And for America 250, the Freedom Trail has been, by the Veterans and Military Families Committee of the America 250 Commission, we're splitting it up into 250 different segments. So if you go to aztrails.org, you can find information about the trail and about the project. And we're looking for veterans organizations, military family organizations, perhaps groups of folks who are just out for a fit hike one day to grab one of those 250 segments of the trail and run it sometime between July 4th this year and July 4th next year. And not necessarily run, but walk or hike or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a chance to get out there. And, I know you tend to do a lot of physical stuff once in a while. If that's something that interests you. There you go, aztrails.org.
250 is it's no joke. It's a real.
Well, it's not 250 miles.
Yeah, no, that would be a good clip, though, huh? That would be legit, though. We made the Grand Canyon's 50, rim to rim to rim. We done that.
Oh, you've done rim to rim to rim?
Yeah, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Young girl who works for me here just ran it this year. She's a savage, though.
Oof.
I just more walked it quickly.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm happy to know you through this medium.
Yeah. No, that's a different thing.
I don't need to be out there in the parking lot doing lunges with you.
No, that's legit. I'll put this in the show notes, too. I dig all this.
Right.
Good stuff, man.
Good meeting you.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate it. I learned a lot because I didn't know much before. I still don't know much, but I know a little bit more now. So
Good. Happy to be here.
I'm working on it. The rest of you guys, if you guys are on Spotify, drop it a 5-star, leave a comment. Same thing for Apple Podcasts. Drop it a 5-star, leave a comment. If you guys want a free sample of AG1, hit me up. Monica will get it to you. And obviously, you guys know the Jeremy Scott Fitness app. You guys get a week for free. 30, 40 Fit Challenge is in there right now. Everything else is in the show notes. This is I actually had a guy comment on my T-shirt yesterday. Not yesterday, from Emily Park. I had a Shooter McGavin, pieces of shit for cereal breakfast T-shirt. This is a Dalton 2024 T-shirt, Roadhouse. So give me a shout out on YouTube if you guys are watching. Appreciate you guys as always. Thanks, brother. I appreciate this. Until next time, you guys eat well, train hard, be nice to people, and please, you guys, keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.